Aluza.
Here.
Castaneda.
Nice and straight.
McCracken.
Yep.
Dunham.
Here.
And Kelly Hatfield is here.
Yes,
Okay, anybody would like to make citizen comments? Yes, sir.
From here?
Yes,
Okay.
that's great.
I won't take long. I'm not going to stay the whole meeting because I want to try to make the road closure going home. I have a busy schedule. First thing, I've followed most of your meetings. They've been both the minutes presented to council and the tapings. I commend you folks for the diligence, the amount of time you're putting into it. They're not perfunctory meetings. You're spending some time at it. I saw the group of 10 originally started. It's now at 8. I think there are some divergent views on this. I would have hoped, and I think it's true, that everybody came to this with an open mind and let the facts lead you to reasonable conclusions and put together something that council can actually use, answer their particular questions. And I hope you go further and submit a narrative. And however, if it's asked for, it's deserved. I would want to say that in all of us have an opportunity to know a lot about things that aren't immediately what we do every day. Some of the positions that you are looking at in your organizational chart, they don't need to know where protons and electrons and things go. I think Director Montgomery has talked about a liaison, public information liaison. That doesn't need to be a brainiac. The people that write Rural Light, these are communication people. It doesn't need to be somebody from outside of the community. It could be somebody well within the community. Knowing the other things that's going on in our state, there are tons of information. A lot of the contractors, they have regular reports every month of things that are going on, so you can educate yourself. This Power magazine, there's electrical magazines that deal specific with electric utilities. This is information that anybody can learn. It's not some kind of mysterious thing. Just as a point, this guy Marmaduke Service Flow is a fictitious character, and years ago when they quit putting him in the magazine, he still found a problem with solar energy. And the problem was mud and dirt and dust, and how to keep the lenses clean. So every step forward comes with obstacles. And I think that you will find that the step forward for the Seward utility can all be done here at home. And just for our planning, this is actually a FEMA document. The fact that we are the end of the road, the fact that if the bridges go out, and I've been here when we've been avalanched in and the bridge has been out, and we needed this utility down here. We needed our local workforce. We needed the local citizens to pull together. And the best way to do that is around, in my opinion, is around a locally owned utility. Hope that the data comes out that way. That's my 10 cents worth.
Thank you, Bruce. And before I forget, there's agendas back on that table at the back of the room if anybody wants to follow along. And I don't know, Lori, did you have extra handouts for the
I
public?
got a few extra handouts.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't put them in the right spot.
That's okay. Anybody else wishing to speak? Okay, seeing none. Approval of the agenda and consent agenda. I need a motion in a second.
Where's the question?
Yeah.
Where's the consent?
There's nothing on the consent agenda. Anybody want to make changes, Linda?
I'd like to add a discussion item of the time of the meeting, because Kelly mentioned that we were now able to.
Yeah, if I'm the only one holding us back from meeting during days, I can now meet Monday days.
Okay. So we want to add E, discussion of rescheduling our meetings.
Yeah, or adjusting the start time. Even, from 7 to 6.
Any objections?
Not an objection, but I'd like to
We don't have anything on here about submitting our initial report to
Okay.
the council. Can you
Yeah,
put
I-
that on there and towards the end?
I would
So-
like to put this into, as
Okay.
what you're saying, I mean, this kind of goes along with what you're saying.
So under new business on D, that's what I was attempting to capture, is to discuss the electric ad hoc committee presentation of deliverables to council and timeline.
Okay,
Oh, okay,
perfect.
is that okay?
That's it. Yeah,
It's on
because
there.
I think that if we're going to get it into them, for them to review it before the vote, we need to get it in.
Okay. And anybody else wanting to make changes, delete any items? And just for now, we've gone over to 9:30 every night. Do you guys want to just make this, do you want to go for that now while we're doing the agendas? We can always end early.
We can see what happens.
You wanna wait?
There's no problem.
Okay.
There's no problem with the road for you.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, very good. So is there any objections to the, or do you want to do a vote, or if there's any objections? No objections? Okay, we'll just go on to the next item. Reports. Rob, would you like to present the capital improvement?
Yep, I got some documents, you should all have it.
Are there ones for the public too, Rob?
I'm sorry, I did not.
That's okay. Does anybody want to see this? I can share.
These are projects over the next 5 years when we do our budget cycles. The last one we did was for 2 years, for 2023 and 2024. But you can see the projects that we laid them out, starting with the 2022 budget. As you see, they're broken up into those that are more urgent in nature with a high priority, and then that's the ones at the top. In the middle, you have those that are high priority, and the bottom would be moderate priority. I apologize, that column did not print on this document. And you can see for the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 of those line items are related to the infrastructure work that we've been doing. And as you can see, we've got it either divided up by being paid for through the revenue bond that we took out, or through the electric enterprise fund. We had $10 million to put toward the projects from the revenue bond. And of course, anything above that 10, we're taking from the enterprise fund.
Any questions?
Transformers, I see 3 there, but aren't you replacing 4? Only 3?
Yeah, and we're moving one from Wallen over to.
Oh, okay, all right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm trying to add up the revenue bond amounts. It seems like it goes over 10 million if I add those
It
3.
does, right. And that's what I was saying, we've got approved for a $10 million revenue bond. So anything that is above that to complete the infrastructure work was coming out of the electric enterprise.
That's what the slash electric means.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right.
And right now, I gave an update at the last council meeting. We are anticipating falling somewhere around 14.5 to 15 million total, including the revenue bond. So you'll have 4.5 to 5 million coming out of the enterprise fund.
What year?
That will be in 2024. Well, we're actually going to spend that money. Most of it will spend this year. And then we'll spend the rest in 2024.
We do have a spreadsheet of the balances in the enterprise fund. That was in the previous packet, or?
We did have one.
It was, yeah, I said it earlier, I don't know which meeting.
I can't, I don't know if I can put my finger out.
What are we looking for?
What are balance revenue?
Our
in our
enterprise fund,
fund?
our enterprise fund is about 7.5 to 8 million. So if you're spending 4 to 5 out of it this year, for this infrastructure work, if you look at Grand Creek substation, that is not included in this 15 million. But that is something that we're gonna have to pay for in the future. Right now, the way we've got that is we put it into the rate study that we're doing, so it will be paid for as part of the rate study and the rate.
So when you just said the balance, the enterprise fund, I think you said about 8 million, right?
That's something that,
You weren't, that didn't include any of this 4.5 to 5 million that you're talking about.
that 4.5 million would come off of that. Okay, that would be like,
We haven't spent any of that.
of what? Yes, we have spent some.
Oh.
We spent 12.9 million today, and we still have invoices coming in.
She was out of the reserves.
Out of our reserve, we spent just under 3 million out of our reserve.
So when I take the 8 million, do I subtract the 3, or is it already subtracted?
You subtract the 3. So what we're doing, if you look at it, we got 8 million, we got 10 million revenue line. What we're spending right now is around 14.5, 15 million. That's going to leave about 32.5, 3 million in the enterprise fund for Liberty Hill.
What was the electric fund, Tom?
Just under 8 million.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
The 1.5 that, or plus or minus a dime, that SMIC owns it alone, was that included in the 8?
Not sure I'm following your question.
SMIC
Right?
has a loan of 1 million. Is that included in the 8 million you say that it's in the electric fund now?
I do not believe that's in there.
Okay. So there's another 1.5 million then possibly in addition. Okay.
So the time frame again on the Spring Creek
2024.
2024.
And that's what we were talking about, Phil, last time, is the work we're doing at Walling, we're pulling out a transformer out of Walling. Once we pull that transformer, it's going into Spring Creek. So we have to have the ground grid and the work done in the Spring Creek substation so we can deliver that transformer, which is 30-some thousand pounds, probably.
I couldn't estimate, but it's heavy.
It's, yeah. So when we lift it and move it, we have to take and put it back. Okay.
Are all the items in the 2023 column complete?
The Nash Road project, you can see is also 2024. We have
Oh, okay.
finished the back half of Nash Road, which we're calling phase 1, because those were the worst power poles and materials. So we'll finish up Nash Road in 24. Fort Raymond, we're underway right now. We're hoping to finish that in this calendar year. Okay, we've got another transformer coming in October to be installed. We've already installed one. And the Walling substation will be done in 2024. And start that work in the spring. And then the Spring Creek substation will begin probably in late summer, early fall.
So what happened in 2022 besides the Stony Creek cable?
2022. When the subject is going back and looking, I'm not sure if there's something on there. When things get done, they come off the list. What you see with Stony Creek is you see there's also work in 24, which is why it's still on the list.
Oh, I see. Okay, so anything else that happened, unless it also was going to happen in 23 or 24 in the future, it wouldn't be on here.
Correct.
You wouldn't see it. Okay. Okay. That's good to clarify, because otherwise it just looks like that's the
Sure.
only thing that happened, which I know is not the case.
So, just for clarification, the power for cruise ships is on here for $3.4 million, but
Correct.
that's not even,
But you see it's
There's no-
TDD.
no
right,
Yeah.
right, and it's not, I mean, we don't even know that we're gonna,
Correct.
so really that
would
brings,
fall off the list.
right, so the total being 17.4 million after I do my
Yeah.
That one could fall off of us. It's just on there because if it happens, and we gotta be ready for it.
Okay. Yes.
Do we have a projected income if it were to happen?
Linda, we had a report done, we did it at a 75% load factor, because you're not going to be running 100% every day
Right.
during the summer.
Right.
And the gross was around 2.2 to 2.4 million, with a net of about 1.2 to 1.4 million.
Okay, so 1.2 to 1.4. I think this is important because when we get to the recommendations
Correct.
list, we can
Yeah, and you've
identify
heard me say
that.
in previous meetings, I think at some point in Seward's future, you'll get cruise ship power, right?
Right,
When? I have no idea.
Right.
That's just my personal and professional opinion. I think it will happen with that.
but if this figure is accurate, what, 3.4 million to put it in?
That's the initial, isn't it? That doesn't
Yeah.
include all the distribution stuff that has to be done, pick up the
Yeah,
ships up,
and-
which is several million more for each berth.
Okay, but even still, even if it got up to be 5 million to put it in,
Yeah.
if you're getting 1.2 to 1.4 a year back out of it, you got a payback of 5 years before you're now in profit, total profit.
Linda, that was just for us to get power from the plant, the additional capacity to the cruise ship area.
Right, right.
So then there would be the additional work at the dock and whatever that is.
Right.
I wouldn't see us paying for that. I would see
Right.
that being negotiated.
Right.
In some manner. One other caveat to this is when this was planned, this was done with dual cable circuits coming out of Fort Ray substation and coming down Seward Highway and then crossing over to Fort and going down to the cruise ship docks. The last conversation we were having with the railroad, because they were willing to allow us to get on their right of way, we were looking at possibly changing how we were going to do that, and I think there would be some cost savings there.
Right.
So, but that's all, again,
Yeah.
subject to
Right.
whatever happens in the future.
Any other questions, comments, public? This is an open meeting, so anyone have any questions of Rob, feel free. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. Under unfinished business, to discuss council deliverable number 1, cost estimate for salaries and benefits of additional personnel as outlined in the organizational chart. And I hope it's a updated one, at the last page of our packet. I took what I got off of Google Sheets. That look right, Woody?
I might have added some new stuff today.
Oh, after
This, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was able finally to hear from Copper Valley. And they're, like I said, I think before the meeting,
Yeah.
they just want, when we make our report to council, to use generic utility 1, utility 2. They don't want it's fully stated what their ranges are. And they probably figure other people don't either.
Well, the
And maybe
other
the ones-
companies didn't say anything about it, so maybe we could just call them company 1 and name the others. How about that?
Well, is that how we're going to present it? I kind of thought we would take some kind of average and present it
Yeah,
just
that's
as.
kind of what I thought.
I don't know if you saw that what I brought tonight, the multi-pages that are stapled together, but the second page of that lists the, potential estimate of the.
Yeah, we don't actually have to put in our report, we don't have to put any of the names in.
Right.
They're just by job title, and we could.
You mentioned the utilities, we did get some info from, and here's our
We
best
can say
shot
we
at
got
it.
info from 5 utilities or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
I see it's just called deliverables as requested by council, and it lists the five positions and the contracted services list cybersecurity.
Okay.
What's your
This,
Oh, it's stapled.
it says it's on
I
the.
know, everything's stapled together.
Oh, sorry. The draft one, I think.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
find
gonna
it.
just go grab one.
I'll find it.
Okay, so Lori, when you, if I may, when you came up with these on your packet, did you have Linda's numbers? Or do you want to
No,
just present?
and I will say that Kevin Dunn and myself and Phil and Skip Ryerson got together and worked on these numbers, so we just had those through the whole spreadsheet before Linda's numbers.
Okay. Linda, do you want to present your numbers and see, based on the three of you that met, if you feel like her numbers skew anything that you guys came up with? Does that work? Yeah, okay, go for it.
Okay, so, okay, so the non-union position wages are based on a salary plan with graded levels. The range shows the minimum to the maximum, and keep in mind that most positions are paid just below or at the midpoint of that range, depending on the longevity, experience, and qualification. So those positions are the operations manager. The minimum was $139,135.
We should we do them one at a time?
Yeah.
Because on that one, we had 140, so we're on the low end of that.
So that keeps that number safe?
Yeah. That
To
seems
keep our numbers conservative?
seems good.
Okay.
And then the maximum was 187,383.
And they said they're normally in the middle of those two?
Well, it's interesting because their maximum is 187,383 and their midpoint is 185,688. So I don't quite get how they're calculating the midpoint on that one.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very middle-y.
No, it doesn't seem too middle-y. Then the next position was communications,
Okay.
and that was 99,697 for the minimum.
Okay, we had 90 for that, so I don't know if we want to adjust our numbers there, or what's the high end?
The high end then is 131,877.
And their middle is,
And their midpoint is 123,832.
And we had what?
we have 90.
Oh, I see.
For the low.
Okay, yeah, no, just as an estimate.
Oh, okay.
So do we want to adjust that?
Wasn't Rob saying when they're meeting that he sees that position as like 50 to 60,000? Why is that?
Yeah.
And I see it higher, but not as high as what you guys have. I do see it more of an entry-level position, and I had on here somewhere 75 to 80 starting to like 105 to 110 for your high end.
So you think our 90 number
I think your 90 is probably
in the ballpark, kind of?
Okay. And you like the 140 number as well for the operations manager?
For the operations manager, that's what I had as my low end. I've got it going all the way up to 170 on the range I did.
Okay. All right, ready to go on to
Yeah.
cyber IT? All right, so their minimum is 91,723, and their maximum is 128,997.
And we have that listed as a contract service, and ours at 125.
Contract. Was it 120? We're paying 125 right now.
We don't have
We
it.
don't have
Oh, we
it.
don't. Okay.
That's pretty good.
And then what was Dustin's estimate for
Dustin's IT was like, started around 90, I saw it somewhere.
It's in the packet.
Yeah. But he also said in his content that it may require more utility experience, which could make it go up a little higher, so.
Right.
So
Right.
Justin's on page 2 of the packet, it says 67 to 97 plus benefits.
That seems super low to me.
And also, the question is, he doesn't know if this is a position that could be shared with the
Right.
general fund, public works. So it's really a tough one to nail down. Was your committee able to look into
the company that's doing the billing, what they would charge to do cybersecurity?
We did not do that, unless it was separate. But we did have it as a contracted service, not as a salary position, so there's no benefits on that number. Because that was from the very first meeting, Rob said,
Yeah,
that was.
I had that on here so we could have it in the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the next ones are all union positions, and what she says about that is, union wages are, okay, and all of these that I just did in the non-union positions, they don't include benefits, and they use 30% for their benefit calculation. And then, so the union positions, what did she say? Union wages are being renegotiated in the next couple of months and will likely see a sizable increase. And that they don't have a position comparable to the government liaison. So what that leaves us with the line person, their minimum hourly rate is $55.20. Their maximum rate is $55.20. There is no range in this position.
So we've got a calculator for that one for annual, 20 times 2080.
What was it, 115 times?
No, 5520 times 20.
Who's she? You say she.
The lady that,
The lady that provided the information.
Robert,
Who is
Copper
that?
Valley.
Copper Valley.
Oh, who's the
And
person?
they're talking about Copper Valley Electric. The committee was calling different utilities to get them set.
114.
114.
So we've got 110 on that.
yeah, I think that was
Yeah, so
That's real similar throughout the entire rail belt, right?
It's close.
55,
Yeah, it's
close to that. Yes. So we can just use, I think, that
Yeah, we
number.
can. And when, and our guys here, and it's a good thing, we have standby pay that we pay. We have 3 people on call, 24/7, 365. So that adds a little bit of compensation, but it's much better to have them on call than not having them on call.
Hey, and can I say something about the standby? I saw on the back of this page here, it says, standby personnel time for 2022 needs further review as a significant increase compared to 2021. That's because, that's when Kuna retired, and so we only had 3 linemen for the whole year, and so basically we were on standby. Each lineman was on standby for 3 weeks out of the month. It would rotate like that, so instead of being on standby for 2 weeks out of the month, we're on standby for 3 weeks out of the month. And that's,
It's so good to have an explanation for something like that.
But that other position was never filled, so that,
it wasn't filled till
Late in the year. It was like,
November, I think.
Yeah, it was in like November, right before Thanksgiving.
so now it should
It
go
took us about
back.
8 months to get it filled, and it was just a,
That's where the extra standby was for.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I don't, I must have missed the meeting, but when you're talking about compensation levels, why aren't you talking about total compensation levels? I mean, if you're talking about 30% fringe for your non-union positions, and probably a little bit more than that for the union positions, why aren't you using those numbers?
So we're adding
We are.
that at 45% in the next.
Do you have one of these, Bruce?
Yeah, but I'm not being able to follow. Is this the agenda?
No,
No, this thing that I did, Bruce, is maybe a little easier to follow.
can you grab me
Yeah,
one?
we have the benefits and taxes involved on all
So,
positions.
Bruce, look at page 2, and then, we took an average of the last few years of benefits and came up with a 45% number. Rob said 17%, so we took the more conservative approach of 45%. If it was 17%, that would save us $83,000. It would be nice if that was the right number.
Yeah, we're never going to get it exact, but this is going to be fairly close, and the numbers are believable in my opinion. You know what that's worth.
well, the one I'm hearing, I think the numbers are lining up.
Okay.
Are you
So, liaison didn't have such a thing, huh? We put 90 on that, Rob.
Are you substantially talking about adding positions for cybersecurity? Is that what this is about right now?
That's
We
one.
have that position.
Several positions.
Yeah.
But we've also talked about outsourcing it. We don't know that we necessarily need a full-time position dedicated to cybersecurity.
Yeah, well, so my question is, why put the utility on the internet?
Why put what?
Why put the utility on the internet? Why have a cybersecurity issue at all?
It's funny you mention
Because so many things now are mobile, you know? You can talk to all the protected relays and everything through the airwaves instead of being through a hardwire. So you need to make sure that you have security built into the system so that nobody can hack in.
So this is localized cybersecurity. This isn't networking it on the public internet.
Well, we're not talking, I mean, it's more also, you got physical cybersecurity, you've got the computer side of it that you're talking about. But there's a lot more that goes into it other than just the internet.
But you're right, it is isolated to just Fort Raymond.
Right, yeah, well now it is.
Just one.
But if you go put the facilities online,
Right.
Which they're not.
But they could be.
They're proposing.
Because all the other companies on the rail belt use microwave.
Yeah, point-to-point stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they all can be hacked, but they have.
But that's more a physical thing. You've got to be in a van somewhere.
Keep on it, and that's where Homeland Security and FEMA comes in. They help all the utilities learn where things get hacked.
And we're also part of the Rail Belt Reliability Council by state statute because we're on the rail belt connected to the other utilities.
Yeah, but we're unregulated right now, so.
Not completely.
Not completely.
Oh,
Not
okay.
completely.
So there's like federal requirements or some sort of requirements that dictate that you be networked? Well, I don't think that's common sense to put yourself,
It is, because
expose yourself.
If you don't coordinate local activities, you could pull the whole rail belt down.
So it's
like that.
Senate Bill 123. If you ever look
Right, sure,
that up,
yeah.
Senate Bill 123, please explain.
Yeah. So let's go back to just being called on. And Wolf, I agree with everything that you're laying on the table. And right now, we just need to stay on track with salaries. I think that's a very good
That's the budgeting item, right?
to have. And I think what we have heard in the audience is we're comparing cybersecurity for people that are already using microwaves. So we are presenting a cybersecurity position, assuming that we are going to have our utility on the internet. Is that correct?
Right.
Actually, I don't think we're.
This is
we're
the
not
state law.
Proposing a
Requires us to do.
We're proposing to contract that service.
Okay,
Very different.
correct. So, and then, aside from that, just to clarify, what Lori just said, it's not a position, it is a contracted service. But just to bring the public up to speed, all we are doing is delivering council what they ask for. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're saying that we want these positions, we're giving them what they ask for. And on the agenda, under 8D, we can discuss what we're presenting. Okay, so go ahead.
Let me do the last position. So apprentice operator, the minimum is 4106, the maximum is 5299, which works out to be 85,404 for an annual, and then the maximum is 110,219.
That seems right.
And the note here says wage scale based on hours worked, maximum wages obtained when they reach operator status.
So we're real low on that. We've got 60 for apprentice. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you're way low on that. And I think the numbers that Lynn is going through probably more accurate. But I think I indicated in an earlier meeting, that's the only position I've gone back and forth on that I'm not sold 100%, even myself. I think we can live without that one for some period of time and reevaluate it later.
I still think, don't you think we should still come back with the appropriate range that it should be if we were to have it?
Yes.
And I have no problem.
So I think we need to bump our number up.
About 85 then?
Where did the 60 come from? Do we have some other utilities?
Kevin took a stab at that one.
You know, I just guessed because a lot of the apprentices start at 55% or so. So I just threw a number out, and if that's low, then we can bump it up.
Where would they
But
live
it's,
if they only made $60,000?
Apprentices start at 60.
65%? Okay.
What was, I'm sorry, can you guys clarify that, please?
65% of minimum wage is what our apprentice starts at now.
Okay.
And then generally, it's every year you get an update, right? 5% of the year?
Every 1,000 hours.
Until you're after the fourth year, then you go to the full.
Yeah, so 5 times 7 years is 35%, so that makes 65 years.
Okay.
So after the discussion you two just had.
So the
what number-
60,000 would even be a little bit low even for a first-year apprentice.
Okay, so 85 is a
Should be
good.
probably 75, 70,000?
Well, an apprentice is not going to work
Yeah.
for.
Kevin, yes, it's in that ballpark.
Why don't we just change it to 75 and we will be within the ballpark?
Thank you. Any objections? Okay, so that takes care of all of our numbers.
There's one that Nolan had, and that was Real Belt Liaison, and we put 90,000 on that. It's just not really knowing, nobody had a similar thing, but it's not the government.
Well, they're not on, none of these are on the rail bill. That's why.
Well, government liaison, with
Yeah.
the word for it,
Yeah.
but nobody really had that one. We threw 90 at that, and we just did, I mean.
So I think that it would be important if everyone agrees, just when we give our presentation to council to know, nobody else had a liaison public relations position in all the utilities that we investigated.
So when we do the little thing, we'll say, we just put it, it's like notes on the deliverables.
Yeah.
We'll put that in there, that could not find, well, could add it on.
Can we just add it as a number 6 on that notes of deliverables, or do you want to put it under
I
number
have a
1?
question. I understood that the city already paid some kind of a contracted person role for some kind of public relations or some service in that regard. Is that,
But not specific to the
about a
role.
lobbyist, a general lobbyist.
No, I'm talking about somebody that's under contract to do some of the public relations stuff.
I think you must be talking about Brooke Estes.
Yeah.
And all she really does for us is if we send her something to post on social media for us, a lot of times it has to do with power outages and that type of thing. If we get some neat something going on, like installing the transformers, we'll send her that information because she strictly does social media and that's all she's doing.
Linda?
While none of these utilities have a government liaison, we could choose not to have one as well. But what does that expose then? What are we really missing out
I
on?
think when it comes back to workload and, you know, we keep calling it rail belt, and that's what it's listed here, and that's what I said initially. But it truly is a government relations position. And this position would be not just tracking federal and state legislation, but it would be, that person would be writing reports that we shared with the administration, with the council, keeping them informed. This person would also be attending, like the Alaska Power Association, there would be a board member for the APA. They would be attending the Alaska Energy Authority meeting. They would be also tracking grant opportunities. So this position could really, if it gets one grant, could pay for itself by getting one grant for the city of Seward to put toward a project, right? That is stuff that right now is so hit or miss. It's me basically trying to keep up with all of the stuff coming in on grants. It's me trying to keep up with the federal legislation, state legislation, and all of those different pieces, and keeping administration and council informed.
Is there any other position within the city administration that could take up, at least in the short term, pieces of what you're describing, like maybe not the assistant city manager, but maybe a liaison person in the city manager's office?
Yeah,
Or
and then what I have found working in the city, and I think people that work in the city in here could say the same thing, is they are so stretched and overworked today
Okay,
that finding someone who has the capacity to take that on
right,
would be nearly an option, in my opinion.
right.
Okay, go ahead, Lily. First of all, I think it should go under number 1. I think we should put it under there, just kind of poser. And then, Bob, what do you think of our number of 90,000 position? The government relations,
I think you're really close. I had it starting at 95 and running up to 120, 125. So your midpoint.
we're just taking a stab at it, we did pretty good.
Yeah, so your midpoint would have been about 110, 115.
So that would be the positions there, all told, and with the changes, the total on the bottom is 1,137,250. With the adjusted to 75,000 on the apprentice office. That also changed the taxes and benefits.
Good. Is there any objections to the final numbers for salaries and positions that Lori presented?
I just have a question, so Lori, on the top part of this, the only one that we changed was the apprentice operations?
Yes, to 75, which also changed their tax and benefits to 33,750. 75.
And then just for a point, what I picked up from everything that we went through, that maybe the business operations manager was low, but we were also really high on the cybersecurity not really high, but higher. So I feel like, it might be like $10,000 you got to float between those two positions based on the information that Linda presented, but I was not at the meeting with the three of you, so that would be more of a question that I'm asking the three of you that took a shot at those numbers.
Are you guys going to look at the general manager's position and the additional compensation for that role? If you're looking at, you looked at the system operations manager, but you haven't looked at the general manager's role yet.
So let me find a flow chart really quick, or the organizational chart. So it doesn't, there's nothing, it says for our deliverables, cost estimate for salaries and benefits for additional personnel as outlined in the organizational chart. And then when I go to the organizational chart, there's nothing that says increasing the general, the way I see it is that we're supposed to keep what's there and find the numbers for what's missing.
Nope, that's fine, I just want to make sure.
That's with them, I think.
Okay. Okay.
We can put that on our wish list, though.
Yeah.
If the group wants it, he wants to do it.
Once we move on.
Right. When we move on, we can put that on.
Yeah, I personally feel like we need to give them exactly what they asked for, and then if we have supplementary.
I have a question about the apprenticeship position. So is that an operator's apprentice?
Yeah, and Brian, like I said, I'm not sold that position as rated operations to pay. That's an apprentice for plant operator.
If anybody could use an apprentice, it'd be the lineman, and it'd only be used 6 months out of the year in the summertime.
But the
operators do not need an apprentice.
I agree, and that's what I'm saying. So I also agree that we need one additional lineman.
Let's stop this discussion because it's on the list as a deliverable, so we need to put it on there.
Okay, and then at 8D, we can discuss these items.
Yes.
Moving on? Okay.
Sorry, but
No, it's fine.
we have to give the council exactly what they asked for first, and then we can go on to all the other stuff.
I just thought I'd add it before we got too far away from the apprenticeship.
Thank you. Just letting people know I changed the wording to apprentice operator instead of operations, so.
Okay. Okay. Any objection to changing the wording to match? You changed the wording to match the organizational chart, correct, Lori?
Instead of
Changed it because it
operations,
was, right.
It's operator, apprentice operator.
The organizational chart just says OP, so it's.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is clear.
Need
Yes.
some clarification. What you're talking about is what was given to you. The council didn't write that, I don't think.
They did.
They approved
That
it.
they
They
gave,
approved it, but it was crafted by Rob.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
So, anyway, just so that we're all clear here, where that came from. No council member drafted that.
Correct.
Guarantee you that.
Correct.
But all the council members told us this is what they want.
yes, they did, they were very specific.
Whether they realize it or not.
So the sooner we get through this, the sooner we can
Madam Chair.
move on.
Yes.
I have a question. On page, I think it's on page 2, you have deliverables as requested by council, and then several pages back, you have 2024 rebuild budget assumptions codes. There's a discrepancy in the total amounts. Which is the correct total number?
They're two different things. They're two different things. This rebuild budget doesn't have any new positions in it yet, because we haven't decided to say, this is what we think should be the new position. Yeah, two
Thank
different
you.
animals.
Thank you.
Okay. Any objection to moving on and finishing? We feel like number 7A, deliverable number 1 is complete.
I think so.
Okay. Lori, you good? Okay. So if I see no objections, I'm going to say that it is a unanimous consent. Yes. Okay.
No. Okay, what would you like to see change?
I don't think it should go forward as unanimous. There's all kinds of questions involved here. I think this way the council's going to see that perhaps some council could get involved and look at things and do things. Thank you.
Okay. So we have everyone vote yes.
Seven A's and 1 nay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
The total, Lori, is 137, 250?
1137250.
1137250. Thank you.
And that, yeah, we haven't done the other ones yet, so they changed it.
And once again, just for clarification, you got contracted services, so you don't have the 45% conservative salary, benefits on that position, but there is an extremely conservative 45% here. Rob had 17% when he did his. Correct. Okay, so that's for the public, $1,137,250 of added salaries and wages based on the organizational chart that council tasked us to find.
No,
No, the actual
That's not right.
personnel, that's everything. It's 857,250 just for the personnel. I didn't have that line in there for just the personnel.
Can you tell me that number again?
857,250.
Okay.
Could you remind me what the 200 grand is, 200,000 is for increased return?
I think we haven't gotten to those yet, Max, but
Okay.
Yeah, that's one.
we were just doing the salaries.
Okay, great.
That's on our agenda.
Okay. So just to clarify,
Yes, go for it.
we've got, under unfinished business, item A, council deliverables, we've signed off 7-1 that we've got the data to provide.
And that data is, the cost estimate for the salaries and benefits of the additional personnel
Right.
is $857,250. Okay. That is deliverable number 1. Everyone got that?
And
Should have
then
listed this.
on the agenda, it jumps from 1 to 4. And I just want to clarify, that's because we've decided that number 2 and number 3 are both so incidental that we don't need to, that you don't project needing things right now to go into those 2 deliverables, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so we can check both of them off.
Correct. So say that again, we're not going to put any numbers.
Nothing for 2 or 3.
So I had in here 50,000 for office.
Why don't we throw in a number just so that they have
to Lori's point, I think there should be a number, but it's not a big number, because it is office supplies and that type of thing.
Okay.
Vehicles and the larger things, we don't need.
Okay, so are we in agreement, and what number did you use?
It was 50,000 for the cost for the personnel and their equipment and desks and things, and we had 10,000 for equipment, supplies, vehicles.
And our thinking on that was even if you don't need new vehicles, you're gonna have people using vehicles.
Maintenance, repair.
So you're gonna have a bit more maintenance and repair.
Correct. And then if you look, most of the positions we have here are on the business or administrative side of the utility. And so they would not require a car, but a car would be available to them if they have to go to meetings in Anchorage or wherever.
Okay.
Okay, so for deliverable 2, we've got 50,000, for deliverable 3, we've got 10,000. So now we are really up to deliverable 4.
And then just for a point of clarification, because we do have one objection, that this is purely just numbers that we have gathered based on, to deliver the deliverables requested by council, but we are not saying these things are needed.
Right.
Okay. And then, so now moving on to 7B, council deliverable number 4, cost estimate for regular investments in system maintenance and capital projects. So we can go back to Rob's page here, right, that he presented. And also, Lori, I'm sure you want to lead on this based on your spreadsheet, what you have there.
Well, actually, I'm gonna lean on Kevin and Phil on this for 200,000 that we.
Our discussion was that aside from the MERP fund, that you should put another 200,000 into
Just general.
something for your maintenance and repairs. So that was our best guess that we could come up with, because we're also later, we're going to suggest that council absolutely starts putting money back into the electric MERP fund.
Yeah, and we agree, we put it into the rate study. We talked at the last meeting that the number we were looking at, and you know, subject to be a little high, but we thought we used to put 450 in, so we put it at 500 going into the MERP. And we think that's really important in the first 2 years until we get through this major infrastructure work that we're doing and complete that. If we, you know, look at another budget cycle 2 years down the road, and we wanted to come off that number a little bit, I think it might be realistic at that point.
So, Phil, I think our understanding was that this would be an addition.
In addition to MERP.
Right.
Okay? So the MERP fund could be used for other big projects down the road, but this would be for,
Sure.
And how do we set what amount goes into the MERP?
We set it at 500 for the rate study, because we used to put 450 in it. And then it stopped in 2019, I think, was the year it stopped. Because of these big projects, infrastructure projects, I would want to do the 500, at least till we get through those. And then we can reevaluate it for another budget cycle in the future if we decide to come off of that.
Okay, so just for a point of clarification, I think I might be a little bit confused. So the deliverable says cost estimate for regular investments in system maintenance and capital. So we're talking MERF and we're talking CIP?
MERF is not in this.
Okay.
MERF is outside of the scope of this.
Okay, so for a deliverable for number 4, I'm black and white. What's our number?
200,000 is what.
Okay.
And so, and can you clarify why would the 500
That doesn't mean it's
not
set
be
in
there?
stone, that was just what we came up with as a discussion point. So
Why would the
you folks,
500
what do you
not be in
think?
there?
Can you explain why the 500,000?
Why would 500 not be in your number?
Yeah.
I think
there, why
if you
would-
communicated, I would communicate it as the utility director informed us that for the rate study, they were going to put 500 in the MERP, but we're also recommending another 200.
So our recommendation is 700,000 a year
Yes, total.
for number
I
4?
wouldn't be able to answer that correctly.
I mean, we were playing around with our assumptions,
Yeah.
trying to look at a budget. We had 350,000 for MERF, and then we put in that extra 200.
So you guys are at
The 500 is.
550,
We're at
right?
550.
So our
We haven't gotten
answer
to that
would
part
be
yet.
550 And his answer is 500.
No, 700.
His is 7.
Ours is 7.
There's a 700,
It's 5 for
500
the
plus
MERV,
the
the 2 that they're talking about.
No, ours and yours. So you put in for the rate study 500.
For the MERV,
Uh-huh.
and then they were talking about putting another.
Yeah, but
200.
not what they said.
Correct.
Okay.
Understand.
Okay. So going back to what our number is for number 4. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we just need to clarify, either say including MERF or not including MERF.
Right.
Just put that in
So
there.
can I go backwards a
Yes.
little bit? Can someone explain what MERF stands for and?
Maintenance and repair fund. Major maintenance and repair fund.
Okay, and so when we are, this money that whatever we put as an increase would also go in the same fund, right?
Yes, it's, so,
It's not a different fund.
Yeah, different line item.
Okay.
But yeah,
It
if
would be
MERF
in a different
funds
line on it.
go towards future things right in there set aside.
And typically, they're pretty significant.
Where repairs and maintenance are used in a year. They're using that.
I was just gonna make that distinction, the 200,000 you're talking about probably is gonna be less than major stuff, it's gonna be the more routine.
Correct.
MERF is gonna be the big ticket items.
MERF is like funding your depreciation kind of thing. like
Exactly,
setting
that's
aside.
exactly what it should be.
if I look at this sheet that we have 300, our group's suggestion is 350,000 into MERF with an additional 200,000 into repairs and maintenance.
Yes.
And so we either need to say not including MERF on here and leave it as it is, or
On the
say,
last page, you'll see that MERV contribution, we're expecting to be 350,000. So if the guess was right, it's 200,000 here,
What is my last name?
350 there with for 550 total a year.
Yeah.
It's 2 buckets though.
And Kevin, to your point, at the end of the day, you guys going to recommend 350, we're recommending 5 for our rate study. It'll be the council that ultimately decide.
The main point I think we all felt, at least everybody I've talked to, is that they've got to start putting money back into MERV. So far, the only department in the city that's putting money into MERV is the harbor. The other departments quit also several years ago. So then all the departments are going to have this problem if we get to move Parks and Rec out of your building. If they had their MERF money, they'd have a place or some money to spend on a place to go, right?
And I think that's where all the departments, to your point, Kevin, is they are going to want to start putting money back into the MERF, each department. So I think that's where,
but
the city will
is
go.
that what the council's asking us for?
Yes.
No, on our deliverable, they're asking us to include MERF in there or not? I don't think they
I
are.
don't think so.
I don't think they are. I think we need to say excluded MERF on here and leave it at 200.
But at the
So
same
it's taken
time,
care of later.
It
For
says
regular investments.
capital projects and
and capital projects. So I actually think it's talking about both. And
So then we move
I
it up to
think
550 and say including MERF.
I would say, Lori, to clarify, I would say our number is 550, 350 of which is suggested to go into MERF and 200 into repairs and maintenance.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
is there not guidelines for how to access MERV as opposed to how to access the budget for repairs? What might be?
I'll look at it.
I think there is.
Because I would think council takes action to get into the MERV to do a major repair or capital thing, as opposed to maintenance budget, and the department just takes care of their own batteries and
Correct.
tires and whatever on the maintenance, whereas the MERV fund has a little bit more of a lockbox. Is that correct?
Well,
Yeah. And can I clarify, maybe help out?
I would just-
Anything that's over $30,000, we have to go to council approval for. So,
and so whether it's coming out of repairs and maintenance or MERF, they have to get council approval for over 30,000, but that's not to say that they can't start a
29 to
project.
death.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yes, Linda?
I don't like that 350 number. I think it should be 500.
And then take the 200 out of repairs and maintenance?
Or keep them both and be 700?
Yeah, that's how I feel.
That's what
That's how I feel.
Now, one thing that, and then I'll throw this out, that may help you guys in your decision making, is if you look at the capital projects list that we handed out earlier, we built those into the rate study budget, so you're not pulling money from the MERF or anything to go into those projects.
Right. And the reason I think the number should be 500 is because we're so far behind, and we have nothing in the MRF now. We have nothing. And so if we start building it at 350, yeah, we'll build it up, but we won't build it up as quickly as we would at 5.
So I'd just like a point of clarification, because I think we're getting really confused on two accounts that we're referring to the same thing. Do you have a repairs and maintenance account right now? And what is it budgeted for approximately per year?
I check, but it's like 50,000 or something like that.
And are you staying within that budget right now?
Yeah.
And is there any reason that you would feel that moving forward, we would need another 150? Is there more maintenance that's coming up or anything?
No, I think if we're keeping the 500 in the mark, then I'm comfortable with the other number being lower than 200.
Okay.
So is it the consensus of the, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I'm looking at the 2024 budget and repairs and maintenance is 40,000.
40,000, right? But there's other things that could be included.
Could be part of something.
And that goes on, but you guys know if you run into something and you're going over that 40, well, give it that call.
So wait,
So let's stick with 550, with 500 going into the roof and the 50,000 being the repairs and maintenance for the year.
we don't have to add, well, we can just say that we recommend keeping the budget as it is for repairs and maintenance, and that we recommend putting an additional 550 into MERP. That sound good for
Are we
everybody?
delivering what they asked for?
It is
550 or
550.
500?
Well, we have 550
Right now, we're at 550.
this year, total. Right?
Right.
Or is the 200 on this sheet of assumptions actually 160 because there's already 40 there?
No, this is a new budget, yeah.
Okay.
It seems like that $50,000 has now been inflated to $200,000 for without bill increasing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
We just
scale
gonna
it
stick
back.
with the 50,000,
Correct.
500,000 to MERF, and 50,000 for repairs, which is.
Maybe we should bump it up to 75 just because everything costs more?
I don't think so. Just because he
I think we
already,
evaluated Linda like we did
1% more.
our getting budget year.
Okay.
And if we need to go out, we would.
this is already paid for. All of these, we already have a plan that these are paid for. So everything that we're putting into MERF is for projects that come beyond these. Correct?
Okay, so 500 into MERF and 50 annually into repairs and maintenance. Okay?
And again, that's something we evaluate each budget cycle.
Does that money stay or does it go back, at the end of the year, does it go back in the general fund?
It stays.
Should
Yeah,
stay.
it stays, yeah.
MERF
Yeah.
stays.
The MERF
It
stays
should
in.
stay.
I'm at the maintenance.
Yeah, it's basically deferred maintenance money, so it
Yeah.
should stay.
And that's why, when it stopped, I'm not sure what happened or why they stopped it, so, yeah. But we need to get it back going.
So Lori, would you, I'm gonna call in one more person, then maybe you can clarify what you got, Lori.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Harold?
Yeah, I'm just looking at, I don't know what this is that in your paper here, this is what you call the elected budget draft number 1, you may be under draft number 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Exactly, that's old.
obsolete. Which it does.
But
I'm sorry.
anyway, just for a point of reference, that on this draft here, you have 40,400 in a line item for maintenance repair.
Yeah, we just were saying
So I
that.
don't know where that's moved either.
That was the actual budget for 24.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Becky, did you have something? No? Okay, Lori, do you want to clarify for the group, deliverable number 4, what we're gonna say there?
Okay, so number 4, increased repair and maintenance. And it's gonna say, in parentheses, it includes $500,000 to MERF, and the total line item is $550,000.
I think it should break out. I think you should break it out. So cost estimate for regular investments and system maintenance would be 50,000, and capital projects would be 500,000 to MERV.
Okay, so add a line. Okay.
So you're essentially the same number that you were put 2 times at the beginning.
Yeah. My God, we can.
Any objections to that final verbiage for the deliverable number 4? Okay, Corey, do you want to read that when you get a chance?
Yep. Okay, so we'll read, increase repair and maintenance, 50,000, and then birth contribution, 500,000.
So I don't think we're not increasing it by 50,000, we're increasing it to 50,000 from 44.
Yeah.
So we're only increasing it by like
Yeah, I was
6,000.
using the words from their request, so I'll just say repair and maintenance, take out the increase.
Okay.
Repair and maintenance, 50,000, birth contribution, 500,000.
Okay, perfect.
100,000 projects. Yeah.
Any objections for that deliverable? Great. So moving on to new business, we got a
No, we
ton.
didn't talk about cybersecurity tech.
Oh, yeah, yes, there's one more little thing.
That is under new business. A, council deliverable number 5, cost estimate for regular investments in technology / cybersecurity. So,
Take it away, Rob.
Yeah.
Well, we can just guess at it because nobody
That's all we
knows.
Just what we did.
Nobody knows.
No one knows. I
so
agree.
we got a number of 125,000, and it is the consensus of the committee and the director. Nobody really knows, and based on the research that Dustin and IT has done thus far, and based on the outsourcing company that's doing our utility billing, we feel confident that that would be the number that we would be going on.
I have
Yes.
a question.
Carol.
125,000 is just for personnel?
Yeah, we put another item in there for equipment,
You've got
20,000.
equipment as well, so.
Okay.
The very bottom line, 20,000.
Yep. Jim? Did you raise your hand?
No, not yet.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
second.
Thank you, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to clarify. We've got the IT position in deliverable number 1.
Right.
So this is not personnel.
No.
This is
Okay.
staff.
Okay.
And are you happy with,
Hardware,
125,000?
We've got 20,000.
Or
Just
120 or
No, we
20?
have 20 for the
Oh.
equipment. Yeah, just saying.
What,
I mean, I think going to Kevin's point, this is a new world
Right.
we're going into.
right,
I think if you have your position, that's one thing, so that's a number 1 already.
right.
I would think that, just to be safe for year 1, I would say 100,000 maybe, for software, for other things. And we're gonna learn as we go, and we may be adjusting that budget up or down, based
Right.
on what we learn.
That sounds high.
And maybe,
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
we already approved $20,000 for cyber security tech equipment.
That's what we have on our
Yes, yeah.
presented
Yeah.
from the
That's what we
committee.
have on here that we already voted on.
That's nothing but, until some research is done on what FEMA and Homeland Security are going to provide, there's free grants out there, and if you've got yourself a cyber tech person, that would be part of their job, is to find stress.
I agree with you on that. But again, we're just stats in the dark. We're just throwing the dark at board.
I just gotta say that there's no such thing as cybersecurity. There's only cyber insecurity. And anybody who tells you anything else is trying to sell you something.
Okay, but that, you know what, that's an opinion, and in the
No, it's
world that I
reality,
was
because
in
stuff gets
for
broken
years,
into all the
they-
time.
They,
Regardless of cybersecurity.
True.
There's no way to keep your stuff on the public internet safe. No way.
but the electric system only hires honest people, so.
Okay, there we go.
The
Good answer.
$700,000 house is
I
insane.
don't feel comfortable with 20,000. I feel like that's really low. I just have to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if 100 is the right number, that may be high. but
Would everyone be
somewhere in
comfortable with
between.
50?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Question from my-
Uh-huh.
Today, what do we have that is computer controlled that we need cybersecurity for at Fort Ray? Today.
We have SCADA operations at the
Yeah.
plant. and that's it.
Don't they have SCADA statewide? Has that already got their own security?
The other utilities have SCADA throughout their system, so they can control their substations from a remote location. I know, speaking to James Unrain, our plant operator, he would like to do that same thing, especially with our Lawing substation, where we have TrueGatch, where we need TrueGatch in that substation. There's also a lot of physical security that's a part of the cybersecurity, where you're talking about 24/7 cameras, monitoring systems, that type of thing, at your substations. We've got 3 substations. So all of this is going to be mandated through the regulatory, not commission, but the RRC, and the new ERO, which is the Electric Liability Organization that's currently formed. So this is real, it's stuff we're going to have to follow, and we're going to have to invest in. I just don't know what that number looks like. Maybe in year 1 it's 50,000, and then we take that as a learning year.
Madam Chair, I mean, I would like to stick to year 1 right at the moment.
Sure.
You know, what can we spend, what's an audit gonna cost, look at it kind of thing, because we know we're not gonna be full-blown,
We're not going to
get
get
anything done yet.
But we're going to have to make some investments.
And then, so
Security-
2025, maybe we increase it, 2026, and we just
That's the other piece,
keep ramping
because we
up.
don't know exactly when those deadlines are
So
going to.
50 sounds just fine to me.
Okay, 50 sounds more than comfortable.
How do we
for
get out of
everybody.
these requirements? Is there a way?
This does not apply to the utility, yes, this law doesn't apply. There's some incentives to doing some of the things in here for the electric utilities that currently stands. This does not apply to the current utility. So you have a choice at this point.
That's great to
There you
know,
go.
thank you.
What, Ron?
There you go. But that's okay. You can educate them on, so.
Well, yeah, I'd like to see a legal.
Yeah, I'll put you in touch with the people.
Well,
Okay, 50,000?
Yep.
50,000.
All right.
Check out that deliverable.
Okay,
Any dissenting votes?
okay.
Yeah, I think it's a little low.
We got one.
Yeah.
So
we have one
if
to
that's
say.
a nay,
Outsource cybersecurity, would that outsourcing encompass this technology we're talking about, or we would have to invest in the technology anyways, while
Yeah.
also outsourcing the cybersecurity?
Correct, that's my understanding.
You have to have a cybersecurity person on the job. You can't have it be somebody else. Somebody here with all the training that they're going to get is going to have to be physically able to know when there's been a breach and do all this practicing and that type of thing. You know, they'll run scenarios. They'll maybe even have people try to hack the system.
run packet sniffers, I agree with that.
They will be.
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
that's the way it's already is at Chugach and probably the other utilities.
What are we talking about outsourcing cybersecurity for?
For the overall part. You can't just get a person that's going to learn that right away. You're going to have experts come in and help them. And there are programs with.
And I think, Kevin, working with the Electric Liability Organization when it's up and running, they're going to help get some of that implemented and moving in the right direction. And there'll be deadlines associated, say, for the things that apply to Seward, that will be put in place that we would have to meet those deadlines. I don't see all of the stuff being done in year 1, right? Some of it's going to be in year 2 and 3.
Maybe that should be on this chart. Yes, I don't see we need to do that this year.
They only
Maybe
needed
not next
the
year.
first pass at it. That's all we really need to do is a first pass, and then they should know, and we can actually spell it out if we want to. This number is going to increase until it starts going down. I mean, once you have the equipment and the personnel, then you don't have to spend as much money afterwards to
I think I feel,
keep them learned up.
yeah, and I feel comfortable leaving it at 50,000, knowing that there will be, if we're a home rule government that we can't forget, we have our utility, there's grants, there's, you know, we got a lobbyist that we're paying 150,000 times 2 to keep on top of this stuff. We have resources, so we can't forget that we still have resources in the general fund that we still can utilize as well. So you feel that the 50,000 will significantly increase in year 2?
I'll let you see what I I have no idea.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody does.
Okay,
Right?
great.
Well,
So
why don't
we'll
we
just-
let somebody else, I don't know, I want to say.
This is a very new law.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why don't we let other people do it and then go with their numbers or let
They
them
are.
do all the
Yeah,
research?
so
I
we're
mean, there's
talking.
several thousand, small utilities like
Yeah.
scattered across the country, all having the same discussion.
Right.
Yep.
Well,
So, and a lot of them is this stage of it, too.
So we'll go ahead and stick to 50,000 for deliverable number 5, and that makes us accomplished. Yay! We have delivered council all of their deliverables.
Not really, I mean, because we have to go give it to them, right, in the report?
Correct.
Right.
And that, we'll discuss that on 8D. So let's go on to 8D, discuss spreadsheet and electric, yeah, sorry.
Lori, so now that we've revised a few numbers, I'm just wondering what the total is now.
Okay, yeah, we'll get there. Let me go ahead and read this into the record and
Is
then
this
we'll
a
know.
spreadsheet?
No.
Sorry.
It's this one, the one stapled that I gave you. It says on the front, it says to honorable council members of the city of Seward. So discuss spreadsheet and electric utility ad hoc committee proposed budget. So in the packet with the agenda on it, there's an old one that's outdated. Right, Lori?
Yeah.
And then as a laydown, there's a new one that says on the front, to honorable council members, that we've been marking up and changing during this meeting. So, opening the discussion of the electric rebuild budget. I think that's where we're gonna be all together now.
I believe Max was asking for the total on that other page.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Right, is that what you're asking for me?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's,
No,
one,
on the page we've been on all
yeah,
this time.
the new total is 1,517,250.
And that replaces 1,115,500?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Everyone got that?
Wish I had a printer.
And is there somewhere on the page that we were all turning to that number plugs in?
No,
Okay, thank you.
no, because I think we need to discuss what salaries we want to put in the new budget.
Okay,
How many people do we want? All these people? Yeah.
okay, perfect. So now, this is more so, now that we're done,
Yes.
now that we're done with council deliverables, from here forward, we are speaking about other things, right? Because we have completed their mission, we've completed their deliverables. Now, we as a committee are going to discuss our proposed electric rebuild budget. And so, Lori, do you want to take the lead on that?
Sure. So, what we're looking here, this electric rebuild budget is a 2-page document. We've really tried to streamline it quite a bit from what was in that original packet, Risky, that got printed tonight. But it's really the same numbers. The first column is the most recent actuals from 2022. And they occasionally get corrected but this is as of May 26th, the most recent, but still unaudited numbers for 2022. That's the most recent year-end actuals. The next column is the 2024 actual budget, city's budget for the electrical department. The next column is the assumptions, and these are where we need to go in and change things. These all reflect over by letters and numbers over to the last page. So as we're working on these assumptions, we can change and plug into this and come up with our new actual rebuild budget is the very last column to the right.
So
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So if I can just maybe go through, and the committee, I'm assuming the three of you guys did this, correct?
Yeah, and if you
As well.
you notice the codes refer you to the last page.
Yes, absolutely. So if we could start with A, of the increase of $950,000 for the rate study increase, can you guys tell us what assumptions?
That was our best guess on, we thought there would be a rate increase of approximately 15%, so we took the total revenues and increased that by 15%.
Sweet, okay. Thank you so much. Any questions regarding that?
How much do you have on that? We appreciate.
Well, the work session with council's on Monday at 5:30, and I've been given strict direction not to share anything until we meet with council.
Okay. All right, well, it's a number that can be changed, you know. now
Is that a
that's-
public meeting?
Yes. So as a committee, are we okay based on, I assume, I'm sorry to jump around on the agenda, but we'll discuss on 8D how we're going to present to council. Okay, but I would just like to make a footnote of that 15% increase, that should it be something different than that,
Right.
when we present, we can change that.
That's revenue increase? That's the revenue item?
Yeah.
Yes, that's,
I'll just put it off to the side.
after the
under
rate
the
case
assumptions.
is presented to council, that's what we're expecting, our best guess.
Right.
That's the 14.5 that you have on the sheet now. The increase of 15%.
It's 950.
950. Daryl, we are on the packet, that first page says honorable council members on the very front page.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're on the electric rebuild budget, says at the top of the page. And line item A is 950,000, and if you go to the last page of that packet, halfway down, it says A 2024 rate increase revenues. That's an estimate 15%. And that 15% is across the board for small general service, large general service, and residential. Is there a reason why there's no increase to industrial service on this?
It was 15% across the board and not spread out among all the things. Yeah, that was just too intense, so
Okay.
take one number and plug it in.
Thank you.
It would
Okay.
spread out across all.
1,250,000.
What's that?
So we're on the same.
Yeah.
Rate increase and revenue increase. Down at the, below where you have the three,
Oh,
B and
go over to
J,
J.
whatever.
J
Down below.
is line loss savings. J, are you looking at the 250,000 that has a J next to it?
No, I'm looking clear down at the bottom where you have everything rolled up. Take the total. Under revenues. Add those together, I assume that comes up to $1,250,000.
Yeah.
That's the correct number.
No, 950,000 is the correct.
No, that's residential, I'm looking at all of the rate.
No, so that, we gotta clean that up, that's all of them.
Yeah,
That's
We
all
just
of
kinda
So
stuck it there.
We did show right there that 950A, it needs to say,
All services.
Yeah.
This includes small general, large general,
Right.
residential,
Or just
and
all.
industrial.
All of
Includes
children.
All rate.
all, what would you call rate?
All
Is there
rate. All rate
SG,
categories.
LG, residential, and industrial.
SG,
LG,
LG,
residential, and industrial.
So these are just,
FSG.
places, that we're hoping we can come up with better numbers, obviously.
yeah.
Well, obviously.
Lori, could you tell me what number was multiplied by 15%? What was the actual number that was multiplied by 15%?
The revenues for everything from the 22 actual.
So do you have a number? I mean.
No, I don't.
So I mean, the computer just multiplied it by something, right?
I would say, Megs, it's from revenue account number 5300 to revenue account 5373 minus all of the fuel factors, correct?
Right, you can't, yeah, they just.
So you minus
We only have-
5373 and you minus 5352 and you minus 5322 and you minus 5312 and you minus 5302. So everything there, maybe yard light fuel, you would minus that as well. And that's where you come up with that 15% increase.
6.3 million roughly. You know, that's what that number is.
Does that help? answer
It
your
does,
question?
it does.
Okay, great.
I got a question, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm reading this right, but why is the residential customer charge and the industrial fuel factor, why is there such big differences in those?
Which line item?
So
It's on the
5303
third page.
and 5370.
If you look at all the customer charges for the different ones,
That's a very
it's all
good
about
question.
half.
I have the
It's
same
like
So I
question.
just don't understand.
We were just
why it's
using
so-
2023.
That's the budget and that's the actual.
Number or something.
Yeah, Bill, all of that is actually calculated by the finance department. We don't touch that part of the budget.
And that's what I'm wondering, if they accidentally
Right.
just.
Right.
We think they,
Those numbers are like way off.
Yeah, they are. They're here to be.
I think we actually wrote that in our notes, it's like if that.
Over the different years, there were huge differences that weren't explained. When we looked at several of the budgets over the years, and, we're just using the numbers that we can come up with.
Based on what we got.
Yes.
Please, this is just a rough draft. This, we got places to
It's a
put
best guess.
better numbers.
It's a
But those
best
are
guess.
two actual numbers. That's the actual and the budget.
Yeah.
So that's a $250,000. What is that question that I have?
It's an eye catcher is what it is.
It is, and I have that question, but I don't know who to ask it of. Yeah. And I've tried to call, but haven't been able to connect. to find
So
out.
you're referring, just to make sure that we're on the same page, you guys are discussing 5373 actual and budgeted? And is there another one? 5324?
Well, industrial service went from 381 to 858.
You know, when I was looking at all those things, when you come down to the totals at the bottom, they're pretty consistent. So I think those are like interpretations between them two. But the customer charge is the one that has a $250,000, I can't figure that out. And I can't find it now. Where was that? Customer charge.
So it's actually,
And so they,
Oh, that's-
that is just,
Not the fuel factor.
if this is actually real.
customer charge is 5303, Lori, the one that you're trying to.
Okay, right. So that one, yeah. We took the actual budget for this year, but if the actual revenue was $547,000 in 2022, that's some real money. Same way for some stuff. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
On 5303, and both Skip and I had that same question, is did they, when they built the budget, accidentally look at half the year?
Yeah.
And put that number in there? That could be an explanation?
Same
Don't
with,
know.
I guess 5324, because I can't think of any large general that has sunk $1 million.
I started to make a question of every one of those, but when I got down to the bottom of the actual
Yeah.
revenues, they were so close. It was like you could see they were just mixed up between line items, but this one is different. That 5303, that's a big difference that I don't understand.
What about work order revenue?
Oh, and that was,
16 down to 30,000.
that was explained because that was something to do with that mile 18, wasn't it, Rob? I can't remember what the explanation for that was.
That's on the last page, it's got a double
The
asterisk.
DOT work, Lori.
Yeah, it's like $770,000 that was that.
So, if we don't want to get lost in how they arrived at their budget and the previous years, we need to move on.
Yeah, because that stuff
You know, if
is,
we can put a footnote saying we don't understand all of the budget information that was given to us,
but those are their numbers, yeah, right.
but we need to move on.
That's what I agree too.
Kevin, if you can just, I'm sorry, can you clarify, like, we need to move on from this agenda item?
Yes, I think we need.
Until we get some better budget
Yeah.
numbers.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
that's,
you.
we can submit this to them with questions, but we need to see if we can get this done. I really think we need to try to get this done to give them so that they have it before council next week.
So, yeah, just one second, I just want to clarify. We're on this agenda item right now,
Yes.
and we have a lot of questions, and you want to move on right now in this moment and skip this?
Because I don't think we have answers to why those numbers have changed.
I can just, are you saying, I think you're saying, this is what I think you're saying is, let's not rework the numbers that the council had for their actuals and their budget. Let's look at what we want to
Yeah.
add in
Okay.
our budget that we want.
Sorry, and I don't want to be pushy or anything. I just-
Yeah, you don't want to forget doing the budget.
No, but
You just don't want
I
to
think
work on.
we have to get through this tonight.
All right, guys, Carol.
Bye,
Good night,
Joe.
Daryl,
I'm
thanks for
not
coming.
going, I'm just going out here.
Oh,
Trying to get rid of
Okay, Linda, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm not sure we're ready to go ahead.
Yeah, we're staying on the spreadsheet. We're still on the agenda item of electric rebuild budget. And I think what we as a committee, and I agree with Kevin, that we need to basically work off of the actuals of 2022 and create our budget based on that. Right?
I think we have to use the 2024 budget to add our numbers too.
Okay,
That's,
okay.
All the items that have a letter or a number by them are the things that we changed, and we can discuss those
Okay.
and make amendments, and it'll feed into the budget.
unless I'm
Does that
thinking
make
about
sense?
this wrong, right? I do.
So I think we've all understand A, we can move on to B. So
Okay.
B is new power sales of $50,000. And how did you guys come up with that? And does that include the 15% rate study increase?
Yes, it does, and that's the new subdivisions being built. We just made a guess at how many new homes are going to be in there, and the people, the contractors you've been working with, Zimmerman and the group, right, should be fairly substantial.
I mean, I would love to expand that, or break it down into, how many new houses are we expecting in the next 5-10 years and prorate it. I mean, heat pumps are an incredible number, but how quickly are we going to adopt them?
But this is for next year.
This is for 2024, to be clear, and, I don't think anyone is building right now, right? Are there any foundations
They're
in?
doing this work and getting lots ready. I don't think any of the homes will actually get built until next year. These guys here.
Are you talking about Hilltop?
Yes,
They haven't even sold the lots yet.
right.
Or even just in town in general, how many new houses?
About 30 to 40 a year.
Oh,
new meters.
perfect.
Is it even subdivided yet?
And
Linda?
that's without the new subdivisions. That's just what we do here.
I would just like to make the suggestion that we take don't look at the most recent actuals, just look at the annual budget for 2024 as it stands right now and make the adjustments with our numbers.
And that's what we've done right
And that's what
now.
we're doing.
And let that be the end of it. If there are other budget things, then move those things into our recommended additional information we're going to provide them.
Correct, and that's exactly where we're going, and we're on
Okay.
letter
So
B.
that sounds reasonable to the 40,000, because
50,000.
another 40 houses should be close to that.
Rob, I mean, do we have a number, what 30 to 40, do we have a number what one house generates on average? $200 a month?
I mean, if you did an average for residential homes, 600 kilowatt hours, and you'd have to do the math.
Yeah, mine's
It's like 8,000 or something a year.
So I get 72,000 with 30 meters.
Okay, So can,
We
I
could
mean, we
probably.
can change it or we can leave it.
Well,
I'd
I
say,
guess the other question is, you know, total kilowatts, you know, we're at about 55 million a year ago. What are we looking at?
So you'd have to do
1% or 2% or something, some kind of growth rate?
So does the group think we're too low or too high?
I think you're too low.
Too low? Yeah, did anybody want to throw a
I
number
want
out?
to do 72.
72. Okay, let's do it.
And that is based on 30 new meters.
So C, let's see, new sales B would be 72,000 in red. Okay.
Hey, it worked. We're changing the
Average electric utility bill.
I don't think mine is ever under 200 or under, probably approaching 300.
Oh, yeah, but that includes the water, right? That includes the water. We have to take the water out.
Yeah, you take the water and the sewer out and the tax.
But that's only in town.
Correct.
And only half of that is not revenue for us, the other half goes to.
What is your average bill outside of the city?
That's pretty standard.
I think you can tell it's between 200 and 300 because sometimes I heat my little apartment with electric instead of oil.
Okay, so I think 200 a month is average. We don't know if those are small general meters that are new or residential, so I feel comfortable. On the lower end, 30 new meters a year, $200 a month, $72,000 a year.
Okay.
Okay, so we can move on from that?
Yeah, I just have one general question.
Yes.
So we're working on I missed the logic of why we're using the budget for 2024 as opposed to the actuals for 2022. I missed that logic somewhere in there. So I just want to compare it. That's all.
The logic is that the numbers, even though you got the actuals at the bottom, the actuals and the budget are pretty stinking close, regardless of whether we're doing blah, 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 blah. So these big numbers that are coming down at the end, correct, Lori, are pretty spot on, maybe $1 million off.
Max, the other thing is that this is unaudited numbers.
Right.
They could, we maybe change the reason.
So we're using our dream numbers for the annual budget as opposed to our unaudited real numbers, okay?
With some little comments on it, so.
I mean, back to our 50,000 or 72, you know, I guess I gotta go back to Rob, it's like, you know, looking at a 2% increase or something in total sales, you know, that worked out, oh geez, I kind of moved on, and I took that increase and put 10 cents a kilowatt on there as our revenue. Yeah, and that's in the ballpark. Well, that came up to like $100,000. So if we increased our sales by 2%, that would increase our revenues by like $100,000.
Pretty big number based on what we just said. Yeah,
But yeah, so I'm looking for that number. I like working off of that number.
I got you.
You're speaking of the CPI increase every year. that
No,
we're already
I'm thinking of what's our increase in total sales, kilowatt hour sales.
Okay.
And taking that number and applying what our margins are to that, and that's what our revenue increase.
I think it'd be closer to the 1%.
1%.
Okay, and that is safe with your 950,000 that you came up with, Bill? Or are we talking an additional 1% in on top of what we have for A?
Right. Yeah. So that would be the additional sales revenue.
Which is B, right? Right? Is your company?
No.
A or B?
No, he's talking about additional usage.
Well, then we have the 50,000 in there.
Yes, that we just turned to 70.
Right, and we're just going, how do we get that? Well, we all know where we got it.
You're just trying to ballpark a number.
Yep.
Right,
And we're
right.
close.
Yeah.
We're close.
And using some kind, yeah, and so that's pretty close.
We just
So
have to show a
1%.
lot.
Spending a lot of time on $20,000. I'm just.
Okay, let's move on to C. C is what line?
Discuss electric utility ad hoc committee wish list.
No, sorry, still on the budget. General fund administrative fees, page 2 of the electric projected fund. 7307. C is general fund administrative fees. We are proposing to,
Where are we? Are we working off of the budget, or are we working off of the?
7307.
budget.
Okay,
budget.
the $250,000 with the J next to it?
It's got, no, I'm going down, so I'm going off the last page.
Oh, okay, you're done, all right, got it.
Does that work, or do you want to go?
No,
to
it's
A?
fine.
Okay, okay.
So large general service, so that is, we figured if they actually started,
Sorry, Kevin, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we're on C.
C?
General fund, sales
We
tax.
weren't going down this list.
We're going down this
Okay.
list, yeah.
So, general fund sales tax increase.
Got it.
So,
From revenue.
So that sales tax on the $950,000.
is that what that is?
That's what I'm asking, I don't know.
Yeah, and that, and the 72,000, because it just changed to 40,880 when we upped that to 72,000.
Okay, so just for clarification, on the electric rebuild budget, we skipped to the second page to account number 7307, general fund administrative fees. It says C and L, so that $460,000, 40,000 of it is sales tax increase, and 500,000 of it is a reduction of general fund transfer to pay into the MERS. So there we are. We'll address C and L at the same time since they're on the same line.
We already decided to MERS, let's not rework that one, okay?
Okay. And that stayed the same, correct?
500,000, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that number,
No, but, oh, sorry. There's an F that says MERS contribution too, so that's what's confusing. There's an F item that says MERS contribution, then there's an L also.
Oh, shoot, I gotta change this to 500.
I got a question. Why are you taking the MERV out of the general fund administrative fee rather than out of the bill? You're gonna reduce the numbers there. Administrative fee more connects to what it costs the general fund to provide the services to operating the electrical utility, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Tilt is simply, this is what you're gonna contribute to from the enterprise to the corporation of the city of Seward annually. Call it payment in lieu of tax. Every utility, every city that has a utility does that, including, I think, Chugach is paying for the next umpty 9 years, the full bill to the city of Anchorage that they gave up when they sold the utility to Chugach.
okay, perfect.
So anyway, I just
So we can
want to talk
move
about that.
the 500,000 L to 7330 PILT as a negative, correct? A transfer out.
So,
And then C, the general fund administrative fees become 40,000, correct?
so lost.
Wait a minute, okay.
We're lost because right now, on 7307, general fund administrative fees has the sales tax revenue and the MERV as one clump. So there's an increase in sales tax.
Right, but it's gonna be more than 40,000 now, right?
Now it's 40,880.
Okay, thank you. So C changes to 40.
I would rather not do that PILT change thing right now because it's not, I mean, I guess I could do it when I go home, but the formulas are all built in there and I'm worried because my brain doesn't work as well at 8:44 at night as it does at 8:44 a.m.
Okay.
So I just make myself a note to change it to PILT. Oh, that's not.
And Lori, just to, that would,
When you're scoring camera, please,
What?
I was kidding. I said, we don't want to hear you swear on video if you mess up.
Oh,
I want to hear it.
So,
so just for,
correct me, Lori, I mean, some of these numbers like this, transfer to pay, we were just, these are kind of, we're using that to sort of balance the budget. How much money do we have to move around, reduce from the city's contributions and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
and so it really depends on all these other numbers, and then it was a question of how do we...
What we really need to get down to is, what salaries are we gonna include in
That's right,
here?
'cause that's
Because
$1
these
million,
numbers are, all- I mean,
right.
we can go debate each one of
Right.
these
Okay.
and, you know, talk about every $5,000. But the big things we have to talk about are, what are we gonna recommend for new salaries that are gonna play in?
and what numbers, or what letters are those, Lori?
They are the numbered items at the top.
Up at the top.
If I,
Okay.
can I make just an observation, when you start looking at the administrative fee of PIL, change those numbers, that really, if it goes, if those go down, and the revenues go down to go to the city general fund budget, you really then start talking about the subsidy to the electric fund from the city's general fund. They gotta make that up somewhere.
Right, and we were actually looking at what would that number have gone down to if we sold? You know, because it would have gone down, because we couldn't have,
Well, that there is the rub.
right,
With the whole logic behind the sale thing, because what was offered in the contract, or the proposal, ended up being only about filling about 40% out after 10 years.
Right.
and that's why these reductions and transfers to the general fund reflect that.
So,
And so we were gonna have to live off that if we sold it,
Right.
let's try to live off it now.
Correct. I agree with that.
You do?
I think
Okay.
that's a
Does
good,
that make
great
any sense?
idea.
or that becomes the electric fund operates as it should, building its own revenues, including being able to contribute to the enterprise.
By the time this is done, we figured there'd still be well over $1 million going into the general fund out of it.
Inclusive of,
So, just so that we can keep on track, this is not our deliverable, this is our budget. We want to give them to help the city come to a conclusion that works.
Right.
I think I've done a mistake in,
Just one?
well, no, there's a lot, but 7101 and 7102. It looks like in the 2024 annual budget, it looks like the 2,393,000 and the 3,708,000, it looks like those numbers should be switched. I think they're in the wrong spots.
You said 71.
Yeah, 7101 and 7102, the 3,457,000.
The 3 million and the 2 million, those are in the wrong, they need to be switched.
That makes
In that
sense.
column.
Yeah,
That
I
looks
do.
way off. So, Rob,
What is this, the actual budget number from?
So I have to go back and double check it.
How we work.
Which is fine unless we're adding more to one of those numbers, right? So then that 10,000 changes.
They actually changed in the budget that was given to us too. They're the same, 3, 4, 5, 7, and then the next one, it goes, they're swapped in this one too. So that's just the numbers that were given to us. So.
Yeah.
So the question is, does G change if we switch those numbers?
And we can't just switch them, we gotta go, because those are actual numbers, we have to go back and look at the city's budget and look at the actuals to see if.
well, I mean, just.
If they're
just
wrong.
Looking at the numbers from the previous year to the 2024, I mean, this doesn't make any sense at all with what those numbers are.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but I think that's what we pulled off that pulled off the website, so that could be something that needs to get changed. My guess is on the actuals for 2022.
Good catch, but I don't know what we can do about it.
We can ask.
Except note it.
That's fine, I'm just pointing it out. It's just
Yeah.
doesn't-
And just,
doesn't make
so
sense.
if you look at 7101 and 7102, let's just look at it as the power bill that we receive from True Gas Electric.
Right.
So that's your fuel cost and whatnot. But the total, Jason, that we spend each year is right around 6 million total to the two guys. So if you combine the numbers in the 2024 budget and the 2022 budget, yeah, they're going to be right there. So I think, Jason, what you're saying is the 3708 should be on line item 7101?
Yes, sir. That's just where it makes sense.
Okay, yeah, and you're right.
So the total of the two is about 200 and some thousand less for the budget than it was in the actual from 2022.
I just think they got flipped actually.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they even break that out anymore.
So,
Right.
back to
They
my-
used to break it out, they
It
used
wouldn't
to
make a
split it on the bill.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah,
That's
let's move on to things that make a difference.
Okay,
It's just
so
that-
I would like to discuss F on page 2 and L. Can somebody please clarify? Mike's asked, but I want to clarify too. Right? We got MERV, but then we also got MERV.
And the reason, how we're paying for the 500 a month is by reducing the general fund transfer.
I'm just wondering why, so originally on this spreadsheet, you had 350, but you had the other 200, so you were adjusting that there.
Yeah. No, the 200 is on that maintenance, but we changed that down, and we changed that to 50. So.
Right, the 200
Is actually
becomes
500,000.
Right.
Right, the 350 becomes 500.
500, yeah, I've changed it that much, that's why I'm looking at my screen. I've already changed it.
Okay, thank you.
Where is the 200?
It's not
It's
unlettered.
It's not
I.
lettered.
It's I.
So we still have.
But the voter pool rent,
Yeah, that's not right.
No, that's
not the
right.
maintenance.
Increase repair maintenance number 6.
oh, up top.
Yeah,
Got it.
above the
so that's
letters.
200, we have to change that to 20.
To 50.
I mean 50.
Thank you.
50, thank you. All right.
Okay.
What are we changing to these other things?
Cybersecurity changed to 50 as well.
50, okay.
And then can we just go down D, lineman overtime reduction, additional lineman? I think we already got an explanation of why it was so high and we're anticipating that.
That was the standby I was talking about.
Oh, right.
Not overtime.
Do we have an
Doesn't
explanation?
the standby go into the overtime budget? No?
I think so.
No,
No? Okay.
budgeted separately.
So where is the, this standby budget?
Overtime, standby. So overtime is 6001, standby is 6002. So I think what we want to do with that 50,000 is move that 50,000 reduction to standby rather than on overtime. Does everyone agree?
Wasn't there going to be also an overtime reduction because of, you had a lot of overtime over on the rebuild of the line across
Had
the,
a lot of overtime there. A year, like last year and the year before were a lot of overtime because the job orders got held up by previous,
so anyway, the estimate is it's going to go down, right?
I don't know. I mean, especially next year, we still got a lot of infrastructure work to do.
Well, if you get another lineman,
Well, yes, and if you get another line,
and that's the assumption.
yeah, and if that's where you're absolutely, yeah, that was one of the justifications.
Okay, so one more lineman means that they're going to go down. so-
Okay, so are we keeping that on overtime or are we moving it to standby? Does it matter? Do we care?
The standby time is pretty
Overtime
consistent.
slash.
Both of them are going down.
Yes.
So do we agree with 50,000 or do we think it'll go down more?
no, it's a different line item.
I think when he was talking about that, when you were referring to the standby time that was so much higher, when yours, that wasn't 2022. I think it was 2021 or something. Because these are consistent across the board, the standby. I think it needs to stay where it is overtime.
Okay.
You saw that note somewhere. Where did you see that?
Jason.
Jason, where did you see that note about the standby? What year was that for?
Oh, I just saw it on the back of this, on this one.
For 2022, it said. So that is the year under question, right?
Oh, it's an increase over 2021. Right. So it was budgeted at the same amount. So potentially we could,
The reduced.
Where are we at?
Because it said it needed a further review for 2022, you guys must have had some
Yeah.
questions, and that's what the next one.
And that was your explanation, so we could possibly reduce that
In our budget.
back down.
So we can add,
So we can reduce both the overtime and the.
Standby time, what do you think?
We need to do that.
More like $47,000 in 2021.
it was $47,000 in 2021.
Yeah, actual standby time 47,084, and it went up to 149,120.
So we could reduce it $100,000.
That's when the operators go on standby too.
So
Yeah,
just,
okay, that's what that is, so you know. Prior to that year, we used to have just the 2 linemen that were on call, and then in that year, it was coming off the pandemic, and we added the plant operator, so we would make sure we had an operator available and 2 linemen, should we have an outage situation, because we were calling them in anyway.
And is that currently the situation?
That is, and it will remain that way. It will.
So you think we should leave it?
Yes.
Okay.
so it's almost 9 o'clock. Everyone okay to keep on going? I think we have a ways to go. Can we take a short 5-minute break? I just need to, okay.
You have to use the men's bathroom.
How many more of these should I
Cameras are running ankles hurting. It was the weather. Yeah.
Greenhouse is great. Well, not as good as last year, but it's cold spring. I mean, it was crazy, wasn't it? There's no fireweed. That's just bizarre. I've never seen that.
Yours are really bad.
Some things, mossberries, you pick mossberries, they're doing phenomenally in the past. Oh my God, we picked 2 full gallons in 45 minutes.
What about the World Bush cranberries?
I've seen several, but I haven't seen the huge patches. I haven't been looking for them though.
Not like in 4 or 5 clusters on these?
Yeah, you've been seeing good bunches?
No, I haven't went far enough back.
Yeah.
What are the berries that grow super, super low, really high?
Dingleberries.
Those were great this year.
You gotta watch this guy.
Yeah.
Follow the mill around to it. You're talking about blues.
It's exhausting.
Terrible, you came down.
I just really enjoyed myself.
I'd like to send to know your opinions on that.
Oh, you should. I'm not going to. Yeah. Yeah. There's enough for everyone. Breakfast for 5 a.m.
No, thank you.
Okay. So, back, not on the record. Back on the non-existent record. Okay, so we have discussed, D and operator overtime reduction.
And Randy Ravi wrote if sold next to that.
So, and that's true because we don't expect any reduction. We just talked about that. They're going to be on standby.
Well, the standby, we wouldn't expect reduction. Over time, we could have a little bit because the infrastructure may not be as intensive, but I wouldn't count. I mean, it may just be just as high next year as it was this year. I think it's gonna go down a little bit, but
So I don't even know why we put the if sold in there, we probably should not even have done that.
Okay.
I think we could take it out of there, but.
Just take out the overtime reduction altogether.
Okay. Take out the overtime reduction?
For the operator.
Operator overtime reduction, eliminated, okay.
Wait, do we add in the lineman's standby reduction?
I think Rob said he doesn't know that was, right?
yeah, because we added a third person to the standby pay. So went from 2 to 3, because we needed a plant operator to come in and house too.
But if we hire another lineman,
We still
the
have-
overtime would be reduced because now you're gonna have that.
Overtime should be reduced, yes.
Standby will stay the same.
Standby instead of second.
Okay.
But the standby would stay the same, but it was, you said it was high that year for a particular reason.
It was just high for the
It was
three
high,
individuals.
because of the additional.
But if there was more of them, then they still would have the
Still be the
same.
same.
Yeah,
Numbers were the same.
the same amount of.
Well, then it doesn't explain why it was higher.
Well, why it was high is because that's the year we added the third person. It went from 2 to 3.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Normally, there's just 2 people on standby, just 2 linemen. And then, like Rob said, there was an operator had after the pandemic or to have 24-hour coverage.
There's the only way we can ensure that we have them in town. We have them around.
Okay, so then F, the MERP contribution is changed to 500,000, we already got that. G, wholesale cost increase for new sales, 10,000. Is that number changed because of the swap of what Jason pointed out? It seems like it would. Because if we're going off of the 2024 annual budget and the 2,393,000 becomes 3,708,000, would that change your 10,000 number?
So we had new power sales of 50 grand. I'm wondering if we were splitting that 50 grand, we got to deduct the Chugach portion.
I'm just reluctant to change it without knowing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, and it's only $10,000.
Okay, perfect. So
Yeah.
we all agree we'll just skip that. And then H, reduce lobbyist general fund transfer.
And that was trying to balance the
Just trying
budget
to-
sort of
yeah,
thing,
okay,
right?
do we
Just
really
sort
need to
of
give
like, well,
89?
Cindy, we can keep doing this, but, we might have to, everybody might have to take a little.
I think we were reducing the amount of the lobbyist budget that we were paying from 48% down to 24% or something. See, that was like,
Okay,
that was the number that's like.
48%.
Because we were paying $89,000 of the lobbyist.
Darrell, be safe.
I'm not going.
Scott Pride Wolf.
We saw it when we were
Okay, so we're still on the H, reducing the lobbyist. Go ahead, Linda.
So I would like to suggest that we pause the budget conversation, skip the electric ad hoc committee wish list, and move to D, because it's already 9:03, and discuss how we're going to present the deliverables, because the deliverables are done. And I think it's critical, the next council meeting is next Monday. We've missed the deadline to put anything in the packet or to get on the agenda.
Okay, so just to, I think we'll get to that.
We can try to put it in as a laydown.
We could put it in as a laydown, but it can't get on the agenda. We've missed the deadline, because the deadline was today. So my suggestion would be that we decide to use the citizen comments at the
I think
beginning.
the deadline is Wednesday at noon.
Due to a holiday.
Yeah.
Rob, do you think?
I think that
The
we can,
deadline was today, but can they stretch it for
Yeah.
a circumstance?
Will they stretch it? Would
I
they
would
stretch
think
it?
for the AdHoc, they would at least consider it, yes.
Yeah.
We've called Chris at home.
I mean, it's worth a shot.
Just run it over there right now.
so we're almost through this. We've got 5 more lines to get through the budget before we talk about salaries. I think we all have to just stay later. I think that's what we have to come to. I think we have a pretty good layout of what we're gonna present. We've already spelled out all the deliverables. Whether we're gonna show up in person or we're gonna give it as a laydown or we're gonna get on their agenda, that should be a short discussion.
Excuse me, I missed something. Are you guys ending the end of your mission then? When you give
We're
this?
getting very close.
We're done with the deliverables.
Yeah.
Right? Now we're on the things that the committee feels fall outside of the deliverables, but that we want to give them. They didn't ask us for a budget, but there seems to be a need to give them a budget, right? They didn't ask us for a wish list of recommendations, but we're gonna give them one.
So by what, the next,
Let's move on.
by the next
We're
meeting?
trying to
then?
get
So let's stay on track. We got the reduce of lobbyist transfers. Do you guys feel comfortable reducing from 48% to 24% of the lobbyists? Does that feel right to everybody? You think council's gonna be a big hard no? From a council member's perspective and sitting on council, I would say that a lot of our lobbying efforts do go to the electric fund. When you look at the city's priority list, a lot of electrical stuff is on there. So,
Like what?
all the, I mean, there used to be.
Is that
back when I was
historic?
on it. There's nothing on it anymore?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Is that because of historic emergencies, or is that?
Okay.
But I don't know how they divvy, if they just divvied up a percentage of the total
That's what I would
amount
guess.
that they just,
Okay.
We don't use them a whole lot.
What do we gain by having a lot?
Okay.
the city.
All I would say is, in my years past, that's what I remember is upgrading distribution lines from 69 to 115. That was a huge amount. It was always the top ones were electrical and then everybody else triple pay. But that's fine. So moving on to, I increased motor pool rents.
That was a way to, putting money into the motor pool, so when new vehicles are needed. I don't know if that's,
Are you talking 200?
seem like a lot.
I mean, typically what we try to do is make sure that we identify what it is we want to go into the budget. So if you look at the one in 2022, the reason that was so high is that's the year we purchased the large excavator that we've been using to help maintain right of way. Typically, it might be that we have a truck, that 85 is probably a truck that we're replacing, right? So I don't know that the numbers we do are true based on what our need is going into that year.
Okay, so do we need even not even increase it at all?
Well, isn't it just like the maintenance and repair budget, instead of like needing all this money at once, we're like making a savings account, or this is not?
I would,
These are suggestions.
No, this is an annual.
They're suggestions to
Yeah,
make the
but this isn't something that's.
Seward Electric work.
So-
And still be able to put money into the general fund.
my understanding of the motor pool rents is every time we buy something, for example, we buy this $85,000 truck, it automatically, assuming finance is doing what the motor pool was intended for, they automatically increase the rents from that department to pay for that in 10 years. So it's already taken care of. I don't think we need to propose a increase in that. Unless they forgot to increase it and we're not aware of it.
So delete it?
Delete it.
Yeah, but
That-
I
everybody
agree.
agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So J, line loss reduced to 5%. I think that's
So
beautiful.
that's a huge assumption, and that means
That's
that,
gonna happen in 1 year.
and I just heard something too, that the city actually owns the infrastructure at the ship lift.
Yes.
JAG.
Yes, they do.
So JAG leases it.
Yes.
So if they have the worst power factor, and it looks like they do, the city should actually be the one that produces or comes up with the capacitors for that. So we were talking about that this is gonna help, it'll definitely help the revenue, but the city's the one that should pay for the capacitors, not Jay.
And they have a agreement that there's.
But they already have a substandard system. Does their agreement say that they have to upgrade the
You'd have
system?
to look at it, but it's pretty detailed, yeah. I mean, there's repairs and maintenance.
We need to
they're
look into
responsible
that, but
for.
this is a real, they could, if we could make the changes, then the 250,000 is an actual number.
Clarify
Yes.
a little bit, because I have all the history of that. They have an obligation to perform all of the annual maintenance and repairs and everything, because they pay nothing for that $40 million investment that the city put into that over there. The only thing they pay for is their ground lease. The rest of it's just the operation costs that they have to pay for keeping the ship, which they have full use of. So it's not out of the question to ask them to put in require them to put in the capacitors for
If we
their.
started charging them for it, they would probably look at the numbers and go, maybe we should do something.
Well, and it could be a slippery slope too, if we start investing money after the meter, which we're not responsible for, then everybody around town's gonna want the same.
But the meter is for the power they use.
Everything costs
The
meter.
city owns that equipment on their side of the
They
meter.
maintain everything.
Okay. So just a point that came up in a discussion last week.
It's just their primary meter.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
is there a way, Rob, to go and do some investigating as to line loss on that side of the primary meter or on the city's?
So it's on their side of the meter. But the equipment on their side of the meter is owned by the city. Yeah.
and that's, I think we need to stick to exactly what Daryl said. That is the agreement. They're using our assets for free, paying for
Okay,
the
then this
ground.
number is even more reasonable, the 250,000.
Okay,
If they don't charge us.
so we're
But
gonna
you gotta
keep
be a hard
that.
ass to get it, you know?
But still the power factor, correct?
Right.
let-
Which side of the meter we do it, we got to fix it.
Are we agreeing that that is staying? Okay. And then eliminate right-of-way fee to general fund transfer? Can you guys explain K?
It's a line item in the budget.
Balancing the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another one of those things where we can change or move or eliminate depending on what happens when we look at.
Rob, are you familiar with that? That line item?
Right,
the
right-of-way
fees?
transfer?
Is that the permit fee? It's 300,000, right? That's probably what's called the permit.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you my honest answer,
yeah,
but no one's ever been able to explain that to me. How the finance has always been there.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, it's gone now.
Is that right away to the Forest Service?
Yeah.
No, it's for all the lines, right?
Yeah, but because some sort of.
It's transferred out of the
Forest Service.
electrical
I'm
into the
dealing with them
general.
right now on that 50-year permit.
Yeah, that's, okay.
It's a transfer out of the electrical budget into the
Right.
general fund. Yeah, just clarifying.
So that's on top of the general fund and the bill, I mean, the
Yeah.
admin fee and the bill.
Yeah.
And where is that at in the actual pages that we're looking at? Electric.
It's not, it's one of the ones that it's not gonna show in the budget. The transfers aren't part of the budget.
Oh.
They're
Well,
kind of a,
good find, Bill.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think we need to leave it in, and that will raise eyebrows with them anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we're skipping L, right? We already discussed that. M, director's salary increase.
So here you go, Rob. Director salary increase, $80,000.
Plus the benefit. and
Plus the benefits,
And
well,
benefit.
Benefits are separate from that, right?
Yes, that's definitely,
And that's at 45%.
that's $116,000 in increase.
Yeah.
The range that I have, and like I said, it definitely should be matching the larger utility. I had it starting around 190, 195, and up to 225.
Does that put you in the range?
Is this in the range?
That sounds like that would be close to the range, the bottom end.
This is an increase from what right now?
Your numbers include benefits?
From what Rob's salary is right now.
No, M&M, let me look at M&M.
What is your salary now?
111,000.
And and then the benefits are 17% of that?
Yes.
Okay, so
So that brings up the salary up to one, what's the benefit?
Madam Chair, quick discussion
Yes.
point. As the bill continues on, the numbers are getting to be Powerball numbers. Is there any way that a person can discuss or look at perhaps to have contract employees to do this if they had a 5-year contract or something that would give them some reliability to stay and operate here in Seward instead of coming and going all the time? And as a contract employee to do the management or a management team as a contract, would that give us an employee or keep everybody here and operating in Seward rather than coming and going a lot and fix our costs or put a handle on them anyway?
I guess my only input to that would be we've had contract employees before Rob, we had Corey, before Corey, we had somebody that Jeff was working for, but they were contract employees. So we've had contract employees, and I think they would love to keep on going. I don't know what they were charging here, but going back to these numbers, that total with these increases makes your position 246,000.
I gotta jump in.
Yeah,
You don't have contract employees, you have contractors
thank you.
who take care of their own operations, they're not supervised by anybody, and you have employees.
Contract employees.
Now, the
Okay.
city's been doing these contracts that really truly aren't independent contracts because they're still supervising. They're just an employee that's under contract rather than under the personnel ordinance of the city. And it's a point that I'm going to bring up and hammer the council on repeatedly. Because if you have a contractor, you have to have insurance, they have to have their own insurance. The city's not doing that with these folks. They're not requiring Rob to have his own health, his own workers' comp. The city is bare naked under those contracts. So, because I'll tell you, if this is a point you guys need to look at when you're looking at these numbers, because if something were to happen to these so-called contract employees, if the city doesn't, they can't cover it because they're calling them independent contractors, their workers' comp's not going to cover them, nothing's going to cover them, only the city's general fund policy's on the line. I've been there, and I'll tell you, it's really bad news. To do it that way.
Didn't you have to have a bond? Now that you're working, yeah, you actually had to get
Right.
an insurance policy.
You got it. Absolutely.
So I did too. When I worked for Seward as a contractor, I had to provide my own bond.
But it's not in the contract anywhere that he has to do that.
It wasn't?
No.
It was not in the contract, but I did.
Yeah, okay.
Well, just protect yourself.
Correct.
You should. But it's just something that,
So
when you start talking about this kind of stuff,
Right.
you got independent contractors that are truly working for another company. They don't work for the city. They contract to do a specific job.
Yep.
Okay, we're
Okay.
almost done with this. So can we get this done? And then we still need to have
Yeah.
time to do, and don't leave it. So you brought up something, Jim, that I wanted to bring up later anyway, was we can discuss later, is there are contract services available on 1, 2, 3 year time frames to actually do that.
Would it be the same number? Are we still
No,
at 250?
They would have nothing to do with this, but these will be other, we want to come up with another list of suggestions for the council, right? One thing is that the city should look at possibly getting a contract in here, contractor, to run the electric system for 1, 2, or 3 years until things settle down. Right now, we can't get employees to stay. And by building this new org chart, we're going to try to find 4 more employees to come here permanently, and Rob's gone, so 5. I really think that that should be a suggestion for the city. There's a company called TDX. I don't know if any of you have heard of them.
And I left that conversation open with the city.
Yeah, that,
So I'm not
and that's what they do. I
completely-
mean, I think they do several of the villages.
So just to stay on track, because
Yes.
we're on a budget, I want to stick to numbers. So 245,800 would be the total director wage. Maybe we could note that.
I don't know what it is now, so I only know we have this increase of 80.
Yes, so right now it's 111 with 17%. So
Okay.
Well,
what he mentioned with your increase brings that position to 246.
Yeah, and Richie, that my salary is basically the midpoint currently, down to 111. Now, of course, I'm no longer making that salary, I'm on a contract. But I was at 111, that was around the midpoint. They topped out at about 122.
Is that a grade? Is that a grade?
It was a grade, yeah, it's still a grade number.
So it's $118 an hour. Okay, so going on to
So
our,
we're good with the 80?
yes.
Okay, all right. Moving up to the 1, 2, 3.
So we got 1, 2, 3. Go ahead, Lori.
Well, this just comes down to what new positions are we gonna recommend they hire now? Oh, well, that's where we are. And plugging the numbers that we got when we first came today into the budget.
So my recommendation, I've thought about this a lot, if I may, sorry, that the railroad liaison can most definitely be part of the director is going to be relieved by putting more positions in. Business operations manager, I do feel, could do the rail belt liaison for us. Or maybe that's something that the business operations manager and the director can split, and so they have a first and a second, so that there's always someone to show up. But I feel like having an extra position, that maybe that is not so necessary. And as far as the customer relations and the commerce, I feel like, and I'm just totally like throwing a star up in the sky, but knowing that Kat is going to be our city manager, knowing her social media public presence that she's done everywhere she goes, I do not doubt that the city general fund will not have some sort of big public relations person, and that we couldn't take our customer relations person and share that position with the general fund, and maybe we're like 50% of it, or something that we share that with the general fund, that it's not just for the electric department, because public works needs social public relations. The city manager's office does, the clerk's office does, the electric department does. As a citizen, I want more on social media from the clerk's office, honestly, than I would ever expect to see from the electric department. I want to know more what's going on with the city as a whole, than I just need somebody to keep me in touch with new meters that are online, or, all the science of electricity, or, all of that. So that's my input on that. Linda?
So my recommendation would be, since the deliverables were to give the cost estimates, we've got the total, we also have it broken down, but I think in the budget that we give them, we should give them the positions that are here. And if we don't believe we want to fund them, then we can note that in the budget, the positions that we don't want to fund. But
I think that's what we did in the deliverables, though, and then this is our recommendation.
This is our-
But this is our recommendation with the new numbers that we know, so that they could quickly see. Because the bottom line, the reason they have us doing the deliverables is so that they can understand what it takes to keep it.
So they have a budget, Linda. So we give them their deliverables, they can very easily plug those into their budget. What we are doing is our budget. Do we as a committee think that we need, right? So we've completed council's mission of fulfilling all the things that Rob wants.
Okay.
Now we're talking about what we
Okay.
want. Go ahead.
I think Rob made a good point earlier, though, is that this customer relations communications person is not just social media, but if that person was also had the skills to like write grants, they would almost pay for their own position themselves
Right.
by being able to get the grants that the city needs in order to do all these upgrades. So,
What was that or the real that liaison that you said that about? That was writing the grants, possibly.
The rail belt,
For
the
government.
grants person, could some of that be combined? I mean, this is your recommendation.
Right.
This is mine, you guys can make yours.
Right.
and I do think the grant writing is important, maybe not even just for the electric, but for the city as well. But I think that it's a good point that if they were actually had the time and the space to like go after grants, then they would pay for themselves probably several times over.
Absolutely, and on a whole city level too, right?
Right.
So if the city, which they used to have a liaison, but I don't know what the heck happened to that position, it's still being funded, it's still in PERS. So if the city was to fill that position, you know, instead of being the city manager's secretary, which
That
the,
position went to Whittier.
anyways, I think that that's something, go ahead.
I guess if I was gonna, I still remember Lori's comment about there are things we would like to have and there are things we need to have. And if I was gonna go down to the need category, I'd be thinking, okay, maybe the general manager needs an assistant, kind of like the assistant city manager that basically gets to do everything, right? And he fills in for the rail belt. He fills in for, answering the tough calls on, phone that the assistant can't, executive assistant can. I just kind of see that person, if I was looking at the need, filling all of those other positions. And do I need a full-time lineman or do I need a summertime lineman? Do I really need a lineman for 4 months?
So, Phil, just to clarify, are you suggesting the rail belt liaison and the customer relations person combines into one position as the assistant director?
Yeah. Assistant director basically, gets all those duties as assigned. I mean, that's fair minimum, bare bones.
Makes a lot of sense.
I think the only thing that,
This is different than the business operation manager. So we're gonna have,
That is the same. I'm combining all of those new positions basically into one
Gotcha.
assistant who's
Yeah.
hopefully is going to learn the trade and be able to fill
Those
in.
three, yeah, just, to not make such a huge change all at once. Because
Can't fill
no matter what
in.
anybody says, the Seward electric system has been running successfully, putting $2.5 million a year into the general fund. And they,
That could be debated.
well, okay, but we're here to give our.
And that's why I want to know, this is your recommendation.
I don't want to be rude, but we've heard your take on this many, many, many times. Now I think it's time for us
And I
to
agree.
come up with.
That's why I'm sitting here.
Yeah,
Fine.
I know.
All right.
so again, going off of what Phil said, I feel like the rail belt liaison could definitely be combined into the business operations manager as an assistant director or a director's assistant. And then I would like to see for customer relations, a percentage to go to the general fund to encourage the council to fill that liaison position and let the electric department help pay for that. So we have a grant writer and so that we have somebody to take care of our public relationship for the whole city. That would be my,
Rob, do you have an assistant now?
I mean,
in your
I'm
charge.
an executive admin.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
what does the executive admin do?
secretary work, answers phones, pays invoices.
Okay.
But it doesn't take your place in any function. No.
That's,
And that's what,
sorry. I
that's what
didn't say
the company really needs, is somebody to take your place while you're gone. Your position needs at least
I don't
one
want to
other
your
position.
time. I have my justification. I really feel I know what I would recommend, but this is your recommendation. I don't want to interrupt your time, so.
So do you need, just to clarify, as for the rail belt liaison, for the rail belt seat that we have, don't you need a main person and an alternate to be like really like everybody else? Because that's what we're trying to be.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
But a
So
lot of them
again,
don't do that. I mean, they had me for as a volunteer at Golden Valley. It's a board of directors person that sits on that, in that function. And I think one of the other companies does that too.
But what
They're paid for their time.
Kevin, what you're missing is underneath those different groups where you've got a board member, you've got a high-ranking executive, you've got a number of subcommittees and working groups where you've got engineers, where you've got the business people, the rates people, and you may have all these different people that are serving on these different working groups and subcommittees, helping make decisions that do impact Seward, directly impact Seward at some level. Now, the bigger utilities, of course, they're impacted more and they have more resources. We should be participating at the level they do. They're throwing a number of employees out. We're just looking at trying to get one or so that we can help fill the gap so it doesn't fall on one or two people.
Madam Chair,
yes,
I've only been here a week or so, and I'm trying to remember, Willard Dunham was the person who went to these meetings and did everything when he was mayor and things of that nature for a long period of time.
that is
For
correct.
over 20 years.
And we covered the expenses, as I recall, the expenses for T&E, things of that nature.
Correct.
And away.
And
And we're here today with the electrical system that we do have, due to some of his efforts, and the other people that went with him from the city back and forth,
correct.
as volunteers, as I recall.
You are correct, and I
Thank
will
you.
also say that there was another volunteer position for, what, did you get selected? Where there were three of us?
Architect.
Architect. There was a liaison position for architect that I applied for, Kevin applied for, and there was one more applicant.
And then the engineer was supposed to take over those duties, and then I gave all my files, including my dad's files. I hope they didn't all die away. Okay, but then
Our check went bye-bye.
they went.
They did go bye-bye, but I guess my point is, going back to the discussion on the table, is there's a lot of people that want to volunteer and that want to be a part of these positions. Me being one, I can't get voted for anything, but I still want to keep on trying. And you're one, and I can't remember who else applied, but there were like, there were good applicants that
There
were.
was 5 or 6.
Oh, I thought there were only 3. But regardless, let's move on and let's figure out, number one, my recommendation, and I'm just gonna put this out, see if I get a second, if it fails, whatever. I would like to recommend that we combine business operations manager and the rail belt liaison into one position and call it the assistant electric utility director, as well as contribute $30,000 to the general fund towards a citywide communications customer relations position, because I'm sure Kat will want that. I don't know, I'm guessing. And then a lineman for only 6 months of the year, because I do agree that we do need additional help when the dirt is soft and we can dig and we can do things. I don't know why we would need them for the other 6 months of the year. And for the apprentice operations, I would like to scratch that position. Can I get a second?
That's a position that nobody else has.
I'd like to, can we talk a little bit about the lineman?
I just, for a second, okay, just so that we're
No
discussing, okay. Go for it.
The thing about the linemen too is that as they stay, the longer they stay, the more vacation time they get. right? Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's what they need.
So, when, in order to keep long-term linemen here in town, then they get to have more time off, they have to be replaced by another lineman. So the long-termers, it's not just for overtime purposes, but it's to fill the
vacation
spot while they're gone.
So I would like to amend my motion to keep the linemen full-time.
Okay.
There was a comment.
And something to add to that too is if you only hire a lineman 6 months out of the year, you're paying NECA wages, which are far more, and you're paying per diem.
Okay. So,
Right.
does my second agree to that amendment?
Second, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So any more discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, Laura, you got it?
Question, I do have a
Yeah.
question. Could you, now that the motion's been modified, could you give me where we are today, right now, on the,
So combining the business operations manager and the rail belt liaison into one position and calling it the assistant director for the utility, for the electric utility.
Assistant director, and what salary would that be?
That would be the higher end of the business operations manager.
Well,
Which
we
was-
put 140.
140, I'd go up to 165.
Wait, what's
plus
the
45?
regular, the director is now where?
So we're gonna just deviate from our deliverables and come up with some new
Yes.
thing that you're
What
just
do we have with the
throwing in.
director right now?
Okay.
We are taking, this is a proposed new position, the business operations
I
manager.
understand. What I was doing was wanting to see what percentage of the director's salary the assistant was. So that's why I was asking
Oh.
what the
So
director's was.
So you're saying 165 is your thought?
165 is my thought. And so if we go 165 times 1.45, whoops. 165 times 1.45.
And no business operations manager, those three are all combined into one then?
The customer relations is something different.
Business operations, you're recommending that that would stay?
No, I'm recommending that we contribute $30,000 to the general fund and suggest the city hires a position for the city.
For the business operations
For
manager?
customer relations.
For customer relations, okay.
Communications.
Okay.
Yes,
The grant writing, yeah.
grant writer and customer relations.
Okay, my question's still on the table.
Yes.
Oh, and I asked one too. All right,
No,
so-
I'm confused. I got gray hair. We're doing that, do we have an apprentice in your motion
No, I struck it.
for the operations man, to learn how to run the generators? So we got backup? You struck that.
I struck that.
And you included a line for men,
Full-time.
full-time men. Okay?
$30,000 a year to the general fund for, and then making the rail belt liaison and the business operations manager.
So we're hiring a lineman and they're combining the three positions plus $30,000 in your motion.
We're hiring a lineman, combining two positions, and funding the third to the general fund.
In the amount of $30,000.
Contributing 30,000 to the general fund.
Can we openly ask a question, since we have so many line hands here, and Rob? I heard talk about the linemen learning to run the generators, but I don't know of any other place on the rail belt where the linemen run the generators. Has that been discussed?
Time began.
Huh?
We've done it since.
Yeah.
You have been trained and okay.
The only issue we have, Kevin, is it makes for unique job descriptions for our guys compared to the other union jobs with the utilities. But yeah, we've got some guys that can actually run the utilities.
Yeah,
That's why we draw the fat money.
So, okay, but there is no contract dispute or anything about that?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay.
We held one as operated on.
Okay.
They're both here, it's their show, we're just there to assist.
Okay.
But we don't run over there and do their job for us.
There's definitely some linemen that feel more comfortable running it on their own than others, but whenever there's an operator, they take the lead, and in an emergency, we fire them up. but if they're, you know, just like 30 minutes out, we'll get everything prepped and wait for them. But we are capable of running it.
Okay, when we run it each month for just running it for maintenance purposes, we also do some refresher. with
Okay,
the guys that are-
maintenance and training.
Ongoing.
Okay.
Awesome, guys, thanks for being here.
Guess what, I guess I'm still curious about how much lineman time we need.
That's a good
You know,
question.
it's easy to go, you know, when you do full-time and all of a sudden you got the whole Betty's package and you got, I mean, it costs ain't free.
I think a way that I would think about it is if you have linemen that are already here doing the work, that keeps contractors out of here. Since I've been foreman, there hasn't been a single contractor in here doing any kind of line replacement before sturgeon for the transmission line or AK tree service, doing the stuff that we're just not going to do what they're doing right now. Right. But keeping everybody busy, not a problem.
But we can say that about every employee, you know, every department in the city, so.
But linemen are required to have, one lineman can't go out and do a job.
But what have we been doing for the last 20 years?
Catching up with
I know,
slackers.
but a lot of other people don't understand that.
Well, and you also, when you have, say you're down the line and then you have an extended outage, then they have to take rest time, puts you in a bad position as well.
Madam Clerk, can we call for the question, please?
Wait, I
Yes.
had a question that wasn't answered.
Yes,
Sorry,
you did.
Jim, I
I'm
did.
getting ready to answer it,
Okay.
Jim.
All
So, to Meg's question, I have to make a correction. Adding $80,000 to the director's salary puts the director's salary at $195. I said $245.
Oh, I
That was
had
including-
191.
Okay, $191. That was including benefits was $245. $245. $246,000 was benefits.
Wait, how'd you get over here?
Going back to your question, what the assistant would be at 165 would be 75% of the director's salary.
165 over 191, is that how you did your math?
Any other questions?
Yep.
Jim, did you have another? He wants to call the
I
question.
called the question.
He wants to be done. So does anyone have any questions regarding the, everyone
I think
agree?
it's a good compromise.
Okay. So with no objections, then we'll just move on to, does everyone agree using the 45%?
And 165. Oh, no, the business operations was 140 and then another 165 position.
No.
No.
165.
So we would erase the
Oh.
business operations manager and the rail belt liaison.
Customer service is going to be 30,000 on the bottom line.
How many linemen are there altogether right now?
There's 4,
4. So
two operators.
Okay, so everyone agreed to 45% for the taxes and benefits? No objections? We keep that?
I mean, this is just a budget, right? I mean, obviously, they get whatever percentage they get.
Right.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah, and I think it's generally 22%, but finance is using 17% right now, so we're using 45% to be extremely conservative.
Cover our ass margin.
Yeah. And then, and you guys are good keeping contract services, the cybersecurity, we already talked about that, and office space, we've talked about everything else. Okay.
Okay, so with those changes that we just made, and I'm going to have to run this by somebody when we, before we submit that, so I'd like to have at least a couple different eyes on it. But what I've come up with on the bottom line, where, like right now, it says that net savings to budget with the rebuild was, what was it before? Okay, now it's 786,000 with those positions added. And that would give us the opportunity to change these reductions and transfer to the general fund if we want to make it to be a zero. I mean, that's what Phil was referring to earlier,
Right.
that these were numbers that we can play with to balance the budget. Okay. Or just leave it as a savings and show it, and then they could say, well, they can do that themselves. I mean, they can look at it and go, hey, you know, you don't need to be making $786,000 additional dollars. We'll continue to transfer to the general fund for this and that.
Okay.
So, I don't know how you want to look at it, but that's,
Okay.
that's another thing.
Perfect. Okay, we all agree to move on. I think some of us are turning into pumpkins.
I'm turning it into.
We're on overtime.
Okay. All right, so can we skip 8C, the wish list? I think that is pretty much, is there anything else that, discuss electric utility ad hoc committee wish list?
I want
Well,
to
it's-
just go over that for a minute. So there was a power factor.
Oh, that's right.
There was
It's on the
there were
list.
some things.
It's on this.
Oh, it's on here?
Should we look at
Yes.
this, thing that I just scratched up?
Yeah.
Because that kind of is the wish list.
So,
Okay, yes.
so as a group, how many of you have come up with any ideas on your own that you think maybe should be presented to the council as an idea?
That aren't on this list already?
Well,
Yeah. So we're on the front page of the page that says to
The
honor.
bottom of the,
notes on deliverable recommendations,
Yeah.
recommendations.
Recommendations, that's what they are.
Okay, so we got power factor, we have.
Automation.
Automation for backup generator. Create a utility board with a minimum of 5 members. Restore the meter reader position. Is this something that we still need? Yes.
That would be an employee, item 4.
Good point.
I'm sorry?
Is that an employee?
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering right now with the,
That's usually a contract, isn't it?
Yeah, so what's the meter?
Contract?
well, okay, so here's the thing. The meter reader was a contracted position when every meter had to be walked up to and read, and there was things that went like this on every one. And now,
analog, yes.
now we need somebody to go drive by and pick up by radio, most of them, although there are a handful that can't, that still somebody has to walk up to and read. And this is creating a burden on the finance department, which is being funded for positions that have not gone away, and we've hired an outside contractor to take over the billing. So do we want to add another, go for it.
We're gonna have this conversation with billing, with finance, and we're hoping to solve it by doing overtime for existing employees within the city. So like a Jeremy, if he's willing to come back and we pay him overtime to go out and read the meters after his normal work hours, then we could use him for a day and a half each month to do that. And then the backup to Jeremy would be our field engineer, Corey Bowie, for if Jeremy has a conflict or for whatever reason he's sick or whatever. And that's how we would want to handle it moving forward. You then don't have to do a contract for another employee. You're keeping it within the city's existing employees. And we've talked to Jeremy and we're expecting to hear back from him next day or so.
Something like the building inspector?
Yeah.
So, can't we hire someone that's a little less high paid for reading?
Yeah.
We don't need to.
But it's only a day and a half a month.
I know, but I mean,
Yeah,
but still,
right.
anyone can read them, well,
But that's-
especially a
The
digital
contract will be
Okay, we're gonna, go ahead, Linda.
In general,
Why Jeremy?
Because he already
Because
decided
he's
to
done
do
it.
it.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
Yeah, but he's just the
Let's-
first option.
let's stay on track with Linda. Go ahead.
in general, what would that end up costing us?
I would have to look and see. We were looking at about 6,000 to 8,000 a year to hire someone for the day and a half each month, just so that we can keep them, so it's like 500 a month.
And isn't that paid out of finances budget as well, not ours?
Finance, the budget, not electric.
Right, so we don't have to put it in this
Correct.
budget.
Either way.
This is just
Either
a
way, it's being paid out
recommendation.
of finance, not electric.
Maybe it should just say, solve the meter reading problem.
Yes, that'd be fine.
Okay. Getting there.
As a committee member, and knowing a lot of history of our utility, I think that it's better that it's a third-party contracted service that should come out of finances budget because they have all that money budgeted for utility billing. So I think restore the meter reader position is good enough. I want to see it restored.
Okay.
But not adding any dollars into the
Right.
budget.
No, not in our budget. because
They
It comes
have-
out of finance anyway.
Yeah. Do
Plus,
you
I want to
agree?
opt out of my electronic meter, so they can read my meter.
Smart meters, yeah.
Do you agree, Jim?
We went through a lot of time and effort, we meaning the city, to switch over to these electronically controlled smart meters so that we would have to have a meter reader, correct? Well, here we are wanting a meter reader. What happened?
We didn't quite get smart enough.
Oh.
So I will say, Jim, when we switched over to the electronic meters, the charge for the meter reader on your bill never went away.
I see that. I have brought my bill with me. It's right here. Would you like the $22 number?
So what are we saying? We're saying
To
that
read the
people
meter?
get billed for a meter reader when there isn't a meter reader?
The customer
That's
charge was always justified to be, to cover the meter reader. And back when we switched out meters and we got rid of the meter reader, the customer charge never went away.
Right.
And the story
$22.10.
changed about.
Right.
Every month.
About what
Story
we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for the meter reader. Okay, so,
So we're paying for the position already.
yeah, so,
$22 a
That's not-
month each.
but,
I don't think that's true.
Okay.
That might be true what you said in the past,
right,
but
the
I
story
thought,
changed.
I thought the former finance director said that customer charges for the existing infrastructure that was in the ground. That's-
Oh.
It's kind of the junk drawer, they sort of put other stuff
So,
in there.
the past finance director said at one time that the customer charge was for the meter reader. But
Correct.
then when we got new meters, that changed, that the customer charge, John Fouts told me that it was to put money in the fund so that we had gasoline for when the generators needed to turn on, so that we had money for that.
Can I weigh in?
Could we just vote on it and to leave it in or take it out?
Anybody that wants to know the definition after the meeting, you can ask.
Okay,
All right.
perfect.
Could we,
It's changing.
That's on item 4.
Yes.
so, keep it in? Keep 4 in? or-
Yes.
Yes. I
Yes.
vote yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so can I add, restore the meter reader position and define the use of customer charge?
Sure.
Is that another item, define these, is that a separate item?
No, that's okay, it's fine, just leave it. Okay, so we're done with that one.
Whoa, 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 what, did you take out the define the charge?
Yeah, because it might already be in the tariff, I'll look it up later. And we can ask Rob after.
What
the
was, what
meeting.
was the vote on restore the meter reader? I didn't
Yes.
see the vote.
Yes.
How many yeses?
How many yeses? Okay, so we,
How many yeses is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's a majority.
Oh, 5.
Why they watch?
No.
Is it a
Scan
single vote?
No,
We have electronic meters.
Yes.
okay.
It's 5 to 3 though.
We need somebody to be checking
They have
those
one-
power factor.
They have a meter
meters.
reader.
They gotta, you
How
gotta.
are we gonna do that?
Yeah, those power factor meters, where should we have?
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, it was 5 to 3, at least
5 to 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Advocate for legislation that would require cruise ships to use shore power while in port. Yes?
Sure.
Unanimous consent?
I spoke to this issue previously, Madam Chair.
Go for it.
Cruise ships are multi-billion-dollar international groups and funds. If they want shore power, they better get their checkbook out. It's $12,000 a berth in Juneau for shore power, the install. We haven't
12
given-
million.
12 million.
We haven't given them to us, yes, excuse me, 12 million. Each. We got 2. So what, we're supposed to spend $24 million? So they
How
can
much
say
would
we
be
do
making
bill?
with the ship that broke down in our port? huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna be here long enough to become voters.
2,000.
Think what that'll do.
I think we all agree on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, can we add a couple?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, we got one objection for the notes.
Yeah.
One
Same
objection on
One objection.
advocate for legislation that would require cruise ships to use shore power while in court. So what you're saying, Jim, just so I can get clear, if we get legislation that requires they hook up, then we're required to provide because they'll be, otherwise they won't come.
We're gonna charge to make it profitable.
Somebody is, yeah.
Okay.
Got
We don't need to spend $44 million.
Does
We don't
anybody
have.
in the
Railroad
room
got to throw in.
anywhere have any idea what they are what they're paying a day for their generators?
We don't care.
They're not paying us, they're getting their fuel from somewhere
I know, but
else.
I'm just
That's more
wondering-
expensive than what they would be paying for electric.
No, I understand that. I'm curious what it takes to run one of those.
So they make about 16 kilowatts out of a gallon of oil. What are they paying for a gallon of oil? $3, $2? I don't know what they're paying, but
Do you know what 24 hours equals? Gas wise?
A handful.
Is it $100?
Okay. Anyways, go for it. Add on.
I'm thinking that I would suggest that the city hire somebody or create another ad hoc committee to investigate Homeland Security, FEMA, or DOE, Department of Energy grants for help on cybersecurity.
A second.
Second.
Investigate. Did you get that, Lori? No. Can you repeat that?
I just suggest that they hire somebody or have a committee look into getting a grant from Homeland Security or FEMA or the Department of Energy, et cetera. There's a whole bunch of three-letter
And I would say look
places
into
for money
grants.
on cybersecurity.
Yeah,
Look into grants for
for
cyber.
cybersecurity.
Investigate grants for cybersecurity.
And couldn't this be part of our grant-funded position? I mean,
Yeah.
As opposed to,
And then we would know way more about what's available and whether we're going to have a full-time person.
I agree. And anybody object to that?
No.
No?
what, can I hear the wording on the,
Investigate grants for cybersecurity.
Sure. But I would put in Homeland Security, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, Homeland Security, what are the other ones?
FEMA.
FEMA and Department of Energy.
you know, they're doing a bunch of security.
Anybody else?
I have one other one.
Go for it.
If you don't mind. I would suggest they look into contracting out management of the electric utility for a short period of time, and short period being 1 to 3 years. Bring experts in while we get this org chart going. We've been trying to get a replacement for Rob for months and months. We have other jobs that have been open for months and months and months. Let's hire some professionals to come in.
Contract, what's the wording? Sorry.
management of the utility?
Contract.
Did you say 1 to 3 years?
1 to 3 years, just to throw a number out there. I mean, 3 years isn't really a short time, but
Yeah.
it might take 3 years to.
Do we need to add the words if the sale fails? We recommend that?
No.
No.
Contract management of the electric.
For 1 to 3 years, period. Or until we,
Well,
until,
That would be an interim thing. Maybe it worked so well that we want to keep doing it, but I would think that we would want to have full-time employees living in this town, not.
I think that's where you want to get to. And I don't disagree with you that having some sort of board is.
Oh, yeah, and a board would.
Instead of everything running through the council now. I have to
Yes.
be careful saying that, maybe from a politics standpoint, but I don't necessarily see that being a bad thing.
I see the board right here.
I see it right there.
Okay. So any more?
No, that's it, all off my little mind.
Anyone object to number 7?
Do
No?
we have the board in here somewhere? Did I-
Yes.
Yes.
It
Yeah,
is number 3.
Utility board to oversee the
gotcha.
operation with a minimum of 5.
And that would be people from the inside and outside, as long as they're leaders.
Oh, you know what?
Oh, that's
We
good to
should
know.
put that
Yeah.
on 3, that it should also include outside.
No, it's Seward utility area, the members can come from anywhere in that.
Yeah.
Service or residence with a meter.
Whatever that.
With a meter, right.
With a meter.
Excellent idea.
Yeah, how do we want to word it?
Area, to include members in the service area.
Citizens inside and
The
outside
entire
of the
service
city.
area.
And citizens from the entire service area.
But you have to specify that, so if you're
Yeah.
off the grid, you know, you did.
Paying?
Okay, so with a
I
minimum
said
of 5
citizens.
members, 5 utility paying members or something.
With a meter.
Yeah.
Well, if you do utility paid members.
Citizens,
There's a
right?
household.
Any other
One-
suggestions?
One person pays the bill, the other person
Brainstorm.
doesn't. It doesn't. So you can't say the
I think
paying
that there needs to be
member
more
because
research
It has to be in a household.
into the cruise ship, how much it would cost to get that.
The cruise ship?
Yeah, so that we can charge them.
Madam Chair, we got
And
anything
figures
else?
their
Yeah,
rate
no,
now.
point of clarification, do
Yes.
we want to
And how much
specify
would
that
we
the
make it out
citizens,
of?
I mean, it could be a ratepayer and not.
I think that is-
Wait,
Oh,
Becky.
we're not in the
Just one second,
details.
go for it. Okay.
Well, I don't think the word citizen, I think the word is resident.
Resident, okay. All right.
Well, but if you say resident, now you've limited it to within the city limits.
Right.
Really?
If you don't specify,
You're a resident of the service area.
Resident of the service area.
Resident of the
Residents from
service
the
area.
service area.
All right. In a household with a meter.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I live in a yurt though.
How about a business?
I got a meter on my yard.
There's,
Hey, who can go to meter?
I love it, it's because, being elected, but.
My yard's got hot over the water too.
Okay, all right, we good? We got the wish list done?
That's it, 7 items?
Nobody else has any?
No?
They're all
Well, let me put ours
classified,
on.
the other ones.
You took our answer.
Okay,
Can we go
so,
back to the budget?
oh gosh.
I'm
So,
done,
number
guys, I'm
8,
done.
new
10 o'clock.
business.
It's done for me.
Great, go ahead.
No, Jim's leaving.
Okay.
So for the record, Kelly, you got Jim gone at 10.
can we do the discussion on time before he leaves?
Discuss meeting schedules, Jim. We're gonna skip E, and so that Jim can discuss the time of our meetings, not having them at,
Anything we can make work, I'll be here.
okay, thank
As
you.
long as we get out by midnight.
Okay,
Well, you got
It's
2
easy.
hours, sit down.
Different time zone, I'm south of here.
let's go back to 8D, discuss the electric ad hoc committee presentation of deliverables to council and the timeline. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys next time.
thank you.
Go ahead, whenever on the meeting, I'll be there. Just
Okay,
send,
thank you.
Council is meeting on the 11th?
The council's meeting, it's on the 11th.
Okay, wait, we're on the presentation, right? Yes, okay.
I move our illustrious chair provides that presentation
Me?
to the council.
Yes.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay, I don't think we can do it. Unless we can actually get on the agenda for a 10-minute presentation.
Yeah.
My suggestion is that we share it between, Lori does the budget presentation, you do what you want to do, I can volunteer to do another piece of it. We could do it at the 3 minutes. See, if we can, that's got to be our backup plan, because if we can't get on the agenda, I still think we have to give them that information on Monday. We have,
At the citizens' comments or something.
in the citizen comments. We could each do 3 minutes,
Short
you know?
of getting on, the. I mean, we have a chance of getting on the agenda.
We might.
You're gonna call
Okay.
first thing, right?
Yeah,
First in the morning.
You're going to call first thing?
Do we have to have all the items to give them at that time?
Yes.
I think that we can give them this
Okay.
tomorrow morning.
All right.
That we
Then I
just
have a-
edited, and I do believe that we can give them this.
I want somebody, I mean, I've made these changes, but I want another set
Lori,
of
I'll look at them
eyes.
with you if you want.
Okay, all right.
So I'm getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to drive to Anchorage to fly out to Nome at 7 o'clock. So,
You want me to call the
Have to
clerk?
put 7.
yeah, could you call the
I'll call
clerk?
the clerk.
I can email him tonight, but his emails that I've been sending have been getting lost, but we figured it out today. But he really does need a call because
Okay.
his staff is not receiving the emails.
Okay. So
And-
call first thing, try and get it on the agenda. If we can't get it on the agenda, then the backup will be, we'll do our 3 minutes each, and we can,
So then we might have to have another meeting just to coordinate that.
Why don't we make a council presentation subcommittee right now? Does that work? And we can figure it out.
sure.
Do you want to
I'll go.
present, Linda?
I don't mind.
Okay. I'll go,
I have another obligation on the 11th,
do you?
depending on the timing. Yeah, I just don't.
I can be there, but I get so damn mad. I just can't say what I really want to say.
Me too.
Especially with that one guy staring down at you, you know, I'm just.
I actually think, you know, the deliverables are pretty easy. I could stand there and just read them, the numbers that go to this, right? And then I could do the budget, because I could just go over the budget. I don't have to go into the budget.
Yeah.
They'll have a hard copy of it.
Right.
And we can say, you know, here's our proposed budget. We know you didn't ask us for it, but we're giving it to you anyway. And then, I could time it. I might be able to do all of it in the 3 minutes, because the suggestions would be here. That doesn't take long to read that.
I don't think we need to stress about the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
We're a council-appointed ad hoc committee. If they can't squeeze us into the, I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday at noon. I think we're good. I think we have a presentation we can just bank on.
So I'll pretty this up in the morning and send it. I mean, I have to change all the letters and numbers and stuff to change. We took things out.
Oh, you want me to look at it in the morning? I won't have time in the morning.
Okay.
I'm driving.
Well,
meetings
they
too.
just
I
said we had to have it in by
definitely
noon, right? Maybe you thought we would? We have to have the whole thing to put in the agenda? Or can we, yeah, okay. I will do it.
You want
I'll
to
figure
stay
it
up
out.
all night?
Thank you,
But
Lori.
my neighbor will come over and look at it with you, right?
That sounds
Sure.
great.
When we print it off, we'll just make sure the letters match up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That
if you
sounds
don't
great.
have it all done, ask him. He may give you an extension for a couple hours, a few hours.
Okay. The other option would be, Lori, it'd be great to get it in the packet, but assuming that we all agree we're getting on as a presentation, we can offer us a lay down
Right.
at our presentation. So it's better to be thorough and take our time. There's options. Lay downs are a thing.
Wait, tell me what the lay down is, I don't understand.
It's what you get at the meeting,
Oh,
so
right.
they didn't make it into the packet.
I see.
Or just before it.
It would be awesome if we could get it to them beforehand.
Right.
And you actually see the size of what you're sitting in.
And then that also ends up in the packet online.
You can see all these little letters in there after that up now because we changed them.
Okay.
Took some out. It's
So,
not gonna look good to go ABH, you know?
so to the presentation, I'm okay to present. I don't mind. I just feel like current council might receive stuff better from somebody else. Because if I present it, they're gonna think I'm presenting it, and they might not hear the invaluable information that is there.
So Lori, you think you won't be there, is that?
It's at 7.
It's at 7.
Is there something I can do for you so that you can present?
That was something, a Rotary thing that was my idea. Well, where would it be there? But I think if it was like, yeah, I think I might be able to pull it up. I have to.
If we can get it on
So
as a
this is-
presentation, it would be within the first, what?
It needs to be later for it to be better for me.
This is my thought about the presentation, this is my thought. My thought is, there was a money part to this, and there was also like electric, a utility management part to this. And I think of all the people on our committee, the two most qualified, Lori is the most qualified to speak about the money, and Kevin's the most qualified to speak about utility management. And so I would say that those two should be the two presenting, just because they have more of the.
Just gotta keep it under control.
We'll be right behind you, Kevin.
They need like a shock collar.
Okay, I'll bring the shot
I
collar.
can get you a shot collar.
The big cane.
And with that said, because maybe I won't be heard, maybe I should be the one to present the deliverables.
Yes.
Can I do that?
I think that's probably a good idea.
Okay, so I'll present the deliverables. Kevin, you got the wish list. Lori, you got the budget, and I think we'll be good. Was that good? Okay. Okay.
No, I'm still in my meeting.
Yeah, and I think I can get there by 7. I think starts at 6 and I can be there to introduce and stuff and then.
So you're gonna go with the numbers?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's move on
Please
to,
give her the,
we're good on that, and now we're gonna go on to 8, new business, discuss the meeting schedules. Linda, go ahead.
Well, originally, we said we started 7 because Kelly couldn't get here earlier. Now Kelly's saying she could get here earlier, and I don't know if we want to talk about starting at 6, or if we actually want to start, maybe, if we met at noon, I don't think anything goes on in the dais at noon on Mondays.
Noon is really difficult for me. I feel like I would be floppy.
Okay, so not noon.
Yeah.
What about 6?
You guys just tell me when I have to go, my mom's having trouble. But I did want to say one thing before I go, in the comments, is that Skip Ryerson's not here tonight, but I think that we owe Skip quite a bit. He's put literally 1,000 hours in on this, and he's given us really valuable insight on how the budget actually works.
Yeah, all these numbers came from him.
Yeah, so I think we ought to somehow memorialize, thank you, Skip, because, you know, he's just about burned himself out.
Yeah, council didn't appreciate him.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know, he
So-
offered them help and they didn't take it.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. So 6 o'clock, our new meeting time?
Does that work?
Yeah, that works for
Sure.
me.
Whenever.
Sure.
Whenever
It's
works.
getting dark sooner.
yeah.
Okay. Citizens comments. You guys are the last two standing.
Well, I'm sorry for the temporary or momentary derailment there on the policy, my soliloquy on cyber security. I gained a better understanding of what you guys are doing here, and it's actually pretty awesome. So, yeah, I mean, this is one of the more useful, effective groups I've seen under the city aegis. So, yeah, and my interest is ratepayer, not citizens. So, yeah. With 2 meters, soon to be 3. But thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Becky?
If anybody hasn't seen it, they should check out the YouTube. In fact, we shared it on our Facebook page. The James Enright has a drone, and he did an overview. Does anybody not know what I'm talking about?
Me,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you have Facebook?
sometimes. I don't try to, I try not to.
I have it.
Maybe
I
you
look
can
at
show
his site, it
her.
really is.
If anybody's getting together with you before this, or you can even come out to the store and I'll show you.
Is it on James Unright's Facebook page?
Huh?
How do we find it?
Well, it's under James Edwin's Facebook page,
Okay.
or you can check, I think I shared it on Seward Public Radio or on Zaptail.
When is it drone, the drone pictures of?
Oh, he
The
took a nice
improvements,
video.
and these guys could have explained it all to us better.
Transfer station.
All the improvements and how well the city, how well the utilities doing.
I was gonna get, you were getting
Overview and, all the improvements.
He's got a pretty nice drone.
Yeah,
He's done Jag too. He's done the city ship lift.
It's posted to the world, so you just have to look up his name.
Yeah,
It's real easy to find.
He didn't limit it to friends or anything.
Right.
Okay. Great. Committee comments. Rob, you want to go first?
I'm good.
Okay.
You guys, I think you made a good point earlier. Your presentation, don't shortchange it, don't rush it. Make sure everybody here is done.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks. Okay.
Me too.
Okay. Linda?
Yeah, it's been good.
Awesome. Lori?
I just gotta say, I never thought a group
could do something like that.
Or were you
Well,
doing
by committee, it was great, I loved it, thank
They
you.
only knew where those numbers came from.
And I'm not gonna be
You might
at
wanna
the
cut
next
this
2
thing.
of these meetings, so when my vacation fell,
still going?
I leave right, you know what I mean? So,
Great.
I'm glad we got this done.
We may not have another meeting.
We may get disbanded once
We
we
may,
get into it.
right, I mean,
Right, yeah, because our job's done according to the council, we made it
Yeah.
done.
And if I could just add, in our presentation, we've already asked to be continued, but changed to a board, so I don't know what that looks like, but maybe that's something that we could expand in our presentation. Kelly?
I think that's a good idea.
Sorry, I'm halfway writing and halfway not, but I'm super impressed like how everybody worked together as a team. I appreciate all of Rob's input, I appreciate all of your guys' input. I'm like totally not qualified to be here except to like take notes. So, thanks guys.
Ever have the minutes of the last meeting?
That's,
Did you notice how I?
that's one of the hardest,
Just in running words, I went, oh my God, do this.
that's one of the hardest things to find.
Yeah. That's one of the hardest things to find. This meeting is adjourned.
Oh, man.
I am going to
No, how exciting.
No, oh my gosh, so, what is she?
Yeah, what did I send to Norma?
I don't, they're in no.
This is the customer value.
They're going in no.